Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth Debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the community forum there. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. And there's also a Patreon, PayPal and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, then simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Zinda, Sleeping Warrior, who's that with their icon, Paul, Kosho, Flat and Earth, Eben, Chocolate Saying, Bob the Science Guy, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Glad to be here, Nathan.
Good morning.
Hey, Bob, if I could show you something that could show you that refraction can throw off any measurement, would you accept that?
Of course.
If you look at my screen, there's a video. I'm not going to show the whole thing because it's about 35 minutes long. But this is an experiment that was done in the Philippines, and they took a flat surface with a local sun or a small sun that was local or whatever, and walked through showing measurements. And they showed how they could determine the flat Earth from a local sun. But then they added a lens over that and actually worked out the formula and the calculations to show that they could work out a spherical Earth from it.
Okay.
Flat surface. So I would highly recommend watching this video, because this would account for even your sextants, because if you're trying to measure the stars or the sun, if there's any refraction at all, it would throw your measurements off.
Okay, great.
So before this is back to what we've been saying about presupposing. You're presupposing something, but here's a piece of evidence to show that everything you're saying could be completely wrong.
Okay. Well, let me just add this then, because I actually did look into that. I looked into the possibility that maybe the firmament was acting as a lens and disrupting the light from Polaris to try and divert it down to make the sextant work right. Now, the problem that you run into that is the refraction index of that has to be significantly less than 1 in some places. Okay, that's not possible. Now, here's the other problem. Do you believe in trigonometry? So, for example, let's look at some triangles, okay? If you have a flagpole and it casts a shadow, and that angle of that shadow is 45 degrees. Do you agree with the concept that from that point to the base of the flagpole equals the height of the flagpole?
I would agree that if you watch that video, they go through everything you're talking about. Go through everything you're talking about. So I don't have a problem. You've not watched
let me
the video.
finish this real quick. So we know that at the North Pole, which is acknowledged by both flat and globe Earth, right? At the North Pole, Polaris is, shall we say, directly overhead, 90 degrees up. So it forms a right triangle with the surface of the Earth. Now, if we go to 45 degrees north latitude, there is a 45-degree angle to Polaris. So therefore, by trigonometry, and this presupposes nothing, distance 45 degrees north latitude to the North Pole must be the distance from the North Pole to Polaris. Would you agree with that?
No, that's only if you presuppose that it's actually a tangible object in a specific location, which is exactly what triangulation is for. You don't have any proof that it's physical or in any specific location at all. Yeah, just have angular relations.
Okay, so that's your argument when I'm pointing out the fact that it's at a 45-degree angle, you say
Yeah.
it's just not real.
Yeah,
So
that's
if
my
I
argument. You got an angular relation. You don't have confirmation of a physical, literal location. That's exactly my argument.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
How would you falsify that argument?
Well, hang on.
How would you falsify it? You'd actually have to prove that it is in a physical location to begin with,
I can do that
in order
using
to
parallax.
engage in actual triangulation. Because
No, I
otherwise,
can
you're
do
going to
that
just
with
have to
parallax.
presuppose it is.
But you have to tell me how that can be falsified, though. So can you falsify the fact that I see it at 60 degrees north, I see it at 60 degrees, and at 45 degrees north, you see it at 45 degrees?
I don't have to falsify it. I confirm it. Yeah, you do see it at these angular relations in relation to the position of the Earth. Yeah, you do.
Okay, so
You just don't have any proof it's actually literally in a physical location.
Okay, so your answer to this is that it's not real. Okay.
No, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying you have no proof that it is physical and in a physical, literal location. You only have the angular relation because that is what you can observe. And it's the only thing that you can observe about it.
Angular resolution that it was at 400 light years, for example.
Oh, where's your proof for that? Where's your proof for that? Where's the proof for the distance?
It's parallax.
Bob, can we stop talking about things 400 million light years away and talk about the actual curvature of the damn Earth, please? Can we get back to reality?
At this point to
Thanks.
maybe
So
do a
we've
bit of
got three different
housekeeping.
ways that we can
Oh, my
determine
bad.
the
I was
curvature of
talking.
the
That
Earth.
was obviously Bob. Yeah, that'll be my chance to do a bit of housekeeping. So we'll rattle our way through the housekeeping questions. Is there any signs of Earth curvature?
Yes.
Nope.
Excellent.
Continue.
Yeah, that would be your opportunity to give us the demonstration of Earth curvature, as opposed
No,
to just.
you have housekeeping at the
I
beginning.
hadn't actually finished my sentence. I used the word as opposed, meaning that I was continuing a sentence, Bob. Please, can you not interrupt me every single time I talk? So that would be your opportunity to actually present something beyond your fundamentalist belief. So you can choose to take that opportunity during the silence.
I choose not to.
Oh, so it's
Go ahead
just
and
your
continue with your
fundamentalist
housekeeping.
religious belief. Don't continue to talk then. If you're not going to take the opportunity to actually present evidence of Earth curvature, then shut up. No, we don't just accept you saying yes. Bob, we don't just accept an answer of yes as proof of Earth curve. Okay?
Are you going to continue your housekeeping?
I run this show, Bob. Are you used to being in a position where you run the show? Because here you don't.
I'm asking if
you
you're
don't
gonna
need to give me
continue
a
to the
permission. You
housekeeping.
don't need to ask. You don't need to do anything except answer my questions when I address you. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about my questions.
waiting for it.
I'll worry about those while you talk all over me. So, is there any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Yes.
Show it.
You're just going to claim it and just say, yeah.
So, just your
I'm
fundy
answering
belief
the
again.
housekeeping questions. That's all I'm doing.
Just
but you
giving us
actually
your
have to
fundamentalist
provide
belief.
proof.
Just giving us your
We'll
fundy
do
belief.
that later.
No,
Do that
that's
later.
why we do
that later.
housekeeping.
It's like,
If you say
yeah,
yes,
we're going to
we
Mars,
expect you
it's
to
just
actually
gonna be
present
later.
something.
I'm taking you off script, Nathan. I'm
Oh,
not playing
really?
your game. I'm just
What-
answering your question.
By not playing my game, you mean not answering my questions. That's what you actually
I
mean.
did answer your question. I said yes.
Yeah, but
That's
you
not
didn't
the
present
end of
any
it, that's the
evidence.
waiting for
Oh,
the next
Arwin, I'm
question.
in the
That's the
middle of a
beginning of
conversation with the
answering
guy.
questions.
Why are you rumpusing me? Yeah, yes
All right,
is not a
rumpusing.
sufficient
That's
answer,
my
Bob.
first
You actually
bingo
need to
card.
provide
Okay.
evidence.
I will.
Okay, off you go.
Do it.
Any evidence
I'm waiting
of
for the rest
axial
of the housekeeping
rotation?
stuff. Yes.
That's not how it works. You
Yeah,
actually,
so
if you say
present
yes,
it then.
you have to
Yes,
provide the
implying you have some,
All
while
right,
Arwin
you want
talks
evidence
all
of
over me again,
rotation.
and then Bob
Let's
continues
see.
to talk over me. So you actually have to present the evidence. It's not a secret that you're here to hold.
Go ahead. I'll go right ahead then. All right. So you want axial rotation?
Well, you said yes to Earth curve, so let's start there.
Okay. All right. We'll start yes with Earth curve. Let's see. First of all, we have horizontal drop, which is easily measurable.
We went through this on the last show. In order for you to say that the curve of the Earth is the horizon, you have to presuppose the Earth's a sphere. We covered this on the last show.
I have to measure the horizon. I have to measure the horizontal drop of the horizon.
Yeah, and you're presupposing the horizon is the leading edge of a sphere Earth, aren't you?
I'm not presupposing anything. I'm measuring the drop of the horizon.
Let's just test that. If he's presupposing anything, what's the horizon?
The horizon is the limit of the sky and the land.
So it's not the leading edge of a sphere then? It's not. So it's not a point you can measure then? It's an arbitrary point in the distance that will change, so you can't measure it.
Yeah, but you can see it, and you can compare it to level.
No, it's not a physical thing. It's an arbitrary point where the sky meets the land, contrary to what you said on the last show. So if it's not a physical location, I'm still talking. If it's not a physical location, what precisely, pray tell, are you measuring?
Can you see the difference between land and ocean and sky? There's a line there.
You're ignoring my question. What are you measuring? If it's an arbitrary point where the sky appears to meet the land, what precisely are you measuring?
You're measuring the distance between level at your location and that point.
Sorry, level at my location. So are you presupposing that it's curving away?
No, I'm not. I'm simply measuring the distance or the difference between level at my point and where the horizon appears.
But the horizon is an arbitrary point where the sky meets the land, an apparent position. So explain to me exactly how you're going to measure from your actual position to an apparent position. It's not a physical location to measure.
The demarcation between sea and earth and sky is easy to see. You can easily measure the distance, the angle from your level to that apparent position.
Yeah, but it's an apparent, it's not a physical location. You can't measure to an apparent location. It's not a physical place.
What do you consider it? What do you consider it, Nathan?
Excuse me, this is your example.
And I gave it to you.
It's garbage. It doesn't prove curvature. You suggesting that you can measure from an actual location to an apparent location is not proof of anything.
Okay, what do you consider it, Nathan?
Excuse me, this is your example. Don't ask me what I'd consider. Present something like you have been and I will rip it to shreds.
No, I'll knock yourself out, Nathan. I don't think I'm real worried. But I think that it's very easy to see where the horizon is from any...
It's not a physical thing. There isn't anything to see. It's an arbitrary point. It's an apparent position. So when you say it's easy to see this thing, what? The apparent position that you're going to measure to? No, bonehead. You're not going to be measuring to apparent places.
Okay, Nathan, all right, that's your first warning, Nathan. You called me...
Sorry, you giving me warnings? No, you don't give me warnings, asshole. That's not what happens here. You don't give me warnings. You don't warn me about anything.
I just did. So, what you do is you measure the distance to the...
Bob, you mad corny, bro.
All right, you measure the distance from your horizon.
The horizon is an arbitrary point where the sky meets the land. You cannot measure to it. It changes as you move. So it's not somewhere you can physically go to. It's an apparent position. You keep circle jerking us, Bob.
All right, I know exactly what a horizon is, Nathan.
Yeah, it's the arbitrary position where the sky meets the land. It's an apparent place. It's not a physical location. And you claiming that you know what it is when you declared on the last show it was the leading edge of a sphere, now you're trying to use an apparent position to measure to get around the fact that when you say it's the leading edge of a sphere, I point out that you're begging the question.
Yeah, you see, I'm trying to avoid your little logical fallacy.
No, Bob, so you see, we all notice very easily how you changed your definition of horizon depending on the question that Nathan asked you.
I did it to avoid his logical fallacy question. So, the difference between your level and the horizon can...
The level of the horizon, there is no level to the horizon. It is not a position you can measure to. It's an apparent position that will change as you move your location. So you're not going to be measuring to it. Why are you continually circle jerking on the exact Same point, you stuck parrot. Has somebody stuck 25 cents in you?
Okay, so you're telling me that sextants don't measure to the horizon. Have you ever used
Sorry, did I ever say those words? Hands up on the panel. Who heard me say the word sextants don't measure to the horizon? Who heard me say that?
No, you said horizon doesn't exist. And
Yeah, it doesn't. It's an apparent location. It's not a physical place. It's not Spain. You're not going to this place.
Yeah, but you see, Nathan, you're just simply wrong because sextants, I set you up. Sextants do measure to the horizon. And
Yeah, you can measure to an arbitrary place that doesn't exist. That doesn't mean it's a physical location, Bob, unfortunately. This fallacious nonsense doesn't mean your arbitrary position where the sky meets the land is ever going to be a physical location you can measure to. As much as you want it to be, you'll never double speak your way around this. And repeating it 16 times won't make the point any stronger.
Nathan, I love watching you scramble.
You know why a sextant requires the horizon to point at as a fixed position? Let me explain it to you. It is because it actually measures the angles of the stars and all that in relation to the Earth, and you have to fix it somehow. So they use the horizon since that is the spot where underneath it there will absolutely no longer be any stars. That's the only reason why. It's not because it is a physical location.
Okay, but Nathan says you can't measure the horizon. So how does a sextant work again?
It measures the stars and uses the apparent horizon as an anchor point because that is where the stars will definitely no longer be visible beneath it.
Okay, so it uses...
Not because it's a physical location.
Okay, but it uses the horizon as an anchor point. Yet when I try
for celestial measurements, the intangible celestial bodies above us.
You won't get to actually make a full point without Bob talking over you.
It doesn't measure. You can't measure from level down to the horizon. You can only measure from the horizon to the stars. Is that what you're telling me?
How do I get to the
horizon?
Because
underneath the horizon there will be no stars visible.
How do we get there?
All
How
right,
do we get Bob?
All right.
How do I get to the horizon? How do I get there?
Oh, let's see. You turn. You walk straight ahead until you find your dreams, Nathan.
Oh, so it's like trying to find dreams. Trying to find this point that you're measuring to is like finding dreams. Well put.
Like finding curvature. It's like finding dreams.
Well put, Bob.
Do you use a sextant?
Well put.
Bob, do you use a sextant?
Have I personally used a sextant?
Yeah,
I did once in high school. Yeah,
we don't care. This doesn't prove globe. Who
So
cares?
practically an angular anchor point, not a physical fixed point.
How do you... So you only use them once. Do you adjust the sextant at all when you're using the measurements?
Yeah, you do.
What adjustments do you make?
I don't know. I'd have to pull out.
You don't know what adjustment. Then how do you know you're accurate? The adjustments you make are about perpendicularity error, side error, collimation error, and index error. Now, also, when you when you get the measurements from the sextant, do you also factor in the curvature of Earth into your calculation of the distance between two objects?
I've got no idea.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah. I understand the basic concept of a sextant. I've never actually used one for navigation. I don't use sextants for navigation. I use other means.
That's great. Doesn't prove we're on a sphere. Wonderful. Proves nothing, in fact, because you can't measure to the horizon. It's not on point, as Bob points out, as you go towards it. Yeah, Bob's just going to talk over me, of course, while I point out that as you travel towards the horizon, that point, that arbitrary point, that apparent location changes as you go towards it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not a physical location that we can measure to or extract data from because it's an apparent position that you claiming you can measure to simply because I point out that you beg the question when you assume it's the leading edge of the sphere. Oh my God, he literally can't let a single guest get to the end of a sentence.
You're not a guest.
Yeah, I was talking about Arwin and that other guy you just spoke over a moment ago. You talk over everybody, Bob. Everybody.
You're gonna have to work that out with your panel. So you know how a sextant works using the horizon, but I can't use the horizon to measure horizontal drop. You'll have to work that out amongst yourselves.
That sounds like projection because it seems to me that one of the panel members has just asked you how to do it. You don't know, and you're telling us we need to work it out for ourselves. No, idiot. You need to go away and figure out how a sextant works, given it's your example that you don't understand. So it seems you're projecting quite a lot of your inability to understand things onto us.
All right, I gave the basic operation of a sextant. Does anybody...
That's fascinating. Wow, how incredibly in-depth from somebody who has never used one. Wow, we all feel so much better educated.
Have you used one, Nathan?
I didn't claim it. I'm not using it as an example, fucktard. You are.
So you don't know. So
yeah, it's not my example. I'm not using it. Burden of proof reversal fallacy. So this is your claim. Why the hell would I need to have when I'm not smegging claiming it? You are.
All right. Well, I'm going to go.
Not all right. You do this every time. I demolish your argument, in this case a burden of proof reversal fallacy, and when I do it, you go, all right. Like it's acceptable for you to use logical fallacy here. It isn't all right, Bob. It's called logical fallacy. In this case, you asking me whether or not I've used the equipment used in your example, that would be a burden of proof reversal fallacy. So no, not all right. Another logical fallacy from Bob the fallacy guy.
Actually, I was just curious if you'd ever used one. It has nothing to do with my argument. Does anybody on the...
Oh, well, we're in the middle of a debate, you stupid dick. Oh, have you ever had cheesecake, by the way, Bob? Have you ever eaten cheesecake? I'm not particularly interested. It doesn't really assert anything to do with my point. I'm just fascinated with whether or not you eat cheesecake.
Yeah, I am. Now, does anybody...
Sorry, we're not here for chit-chat, dickhead. We're here to discuss this actual subject.
The angle from the horizon to a star. Does anybody on the panel disagree with that?
Yeah. Disagree with what?
I just said, does anybody on the panel disagree that the basic operation, as I put it out, of a sextant is to measure the angle from the horizon to a celestial body?
No, I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
Okay, so and your 6 different correction factors, although a valid issue, really doesn't contribute to this conversation. All right, we're measuring the distance, the angle from the horizon to a celestial body, and whether or not I'm a celestial navigator, well versed in the intricacies of making tenth of a minute calculations on a sextant really doesn't matter. The fact is, it measures the distance in angular degrees from the horizon to a celestial body. Now, the point that I made is that you can measure the same angle from a level down to the horizon if you are at elevation. It's the exact same principle. It's just going the opposite direction. So your objection that the horizon is an intangible object is overruled, because I've just demonstrated that a sextant uses the horizon. You can't deny me the fact that I can measure horizon down from level. So that's proof number 1.
The horizon is tangible? That's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that you can use it to measure angles, because you can do it with a sextant. Therefore, you cannot deny me doing it from down.
How does that prove we're on a sphere again?
Okay, it proves that the horizon drops. Now, on a flat Earth, you'd get one thing. On a round Earth, you would get another. It demonstrates that there is a curve there. Now, if you do that in a variety of directions and 1,000 measurements, and you find that there is a correlation to the drops, that's strong evidence of curvature. And if it's in different directions, especially at 90 degrees to each other, there's only one geometric.
Why does the horizon not drop away from me like a ball?
It does drop away from you on a ball.
I actually got a question for you, Bob.
Sure.
Okay, is there anything in the atmosphere that could show the horizon apparently dropping even a slight degree?
Yes.
If you're way down at sea level, probably yes.
Okay, where are most ships when they're sailing? What are they close down to sea level?
They're relatively close to sea level, yeah, within 100 feet probably.
So if there's any atmospheric conditions that could potentially show the horizon dropping, that would throw it off. Would you agree?
Yes, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the correction factors, is it not?
I don't know. You're the one going through this. I'm just asking a question. You're the one.
Yeah, there's about 6 different correction factors that you make to get exact readings. But yes, you can get refraction, especially low to the ground, over water.
How is this helping us decide whether we live on a sphere or not?
Okay, well, you're adding additional things. I'm talking about horizon drops from elevation. So it really doesn't have anything to do with it. All right. So that's demonstration of curvature, and if you do it in a variety of directions, there's only one geometric shape that would do that.
Sorry, that would imply that the geometric shape forms the leading edge of the sphere that you're describing, though, doesn't it?
It is the leading edge of the sphere, but
oh, so it's not the arbitrary point that the sky meets the land and will move as you move. It's actually the leading edge of a sphere, a physical location that we could travel to then.
I never said that.
Well, that's what you've just declared. You've just said it's the leading edge of the sphere, so you've now flip-flopped back to your original position, having had me shut up for enough time for you to insert enough bullshit for people to potentially not notice that you've changed your position
Nathan,
back to your own. Yeah, now you're talking over me. This is what happens every time I demolish your argument. I start demolishing it, you carry on talking. So you've just changed your position back from the horizon being an arbitrary point to it being the leading edge of the sphere again.
Nice try, Nathan.
No, nice try, Bob, who's just flip-flopped back to his original position after we've discussed quite specifically for 10 minutes that the horizon is an arbitrary point, an apparent position. Now it's not an apparent position. Now it's the leading edge of a sphere.
My turn yet? May I have a turn now, Nathan?
What? Why is it that when I absolutely rip you a new asshole, you ask me permission to speak?
Well, I don't want to be talked over. So may I speak now?
Nobody's talking over you. You talk over everybody else. You just demonstrated it not 30 seconds ago. I was in the middle of a sentence demolishing your argument where you flip-flopped and changed your position from the horizon being an arbitrary position in the distance that changes as you move to it being the leading edge of a presupposed sphere that you're presupposing. So you are interrupting me continually and then claiming that other people are interrupting you while simultaneously flip-flopping between an apparent position for the horizon and the leading edge of a sphere, presupposing you're on a sphere.
Both are
okay. So let me.
Both. The leading edge of a sphere is a apparent position too. Picture a sphere and try to go to the leading edge. Have fun circling around the sphere.
Okay, let me go ahead and answer that since, Nathan brought up this silly objection. What I'm going to do is say this. When I say that it is the leading edge of the sphere, that's a correct statement.
Oh, really? So you're just going to assert your fundy belief? I say it's the leading edge of the sphere, therefore that is a correct statement to make. So you're a fundy.
Are you talking over me again, Nathan?
No, I'm saying you're a fundy.
I don't even know what that is. That must be a British.
Yeah, a fundamentalist who just declares that what they believe is so. That is precisely what you have just done.
Are you going to let me finish, Nathan?
Yeah, you finished when you declared that it is the leading edge of the sphere, and that is basically that. That is what you declared, like a fundamentalist.
I'm not finished, Nathan. So what I said was that the horizon is indeed the leading edge of the sphere, but you objected to that last time. So what I did was I brought it back even further to not presuppose anything, and I said it is simply the border between the land and the sea and the sky. Then you said it was an imaginary thing or some crap like that and can't be used for measurements. And then I pointed out, demolishing your argument, that that's exactly what we use with a sextant, and pointed out the fact that you don't get to declare that the horizon is not real for my example, yet the horizon is real and measurable for a sextant. So I just made you appear to be silly. And that's what I'm here to do today.
So does the sextant prove... That's incorrect. What does the sextant prove then? Does it prove that you are actually looking at the leading edge of a sphere? Is that what the sextant proves?
Proves that you're looking at the horizon.
Yeah, I know we're looking at the horizon. We all understand what we're looking at. I'm saying, does the sextant... So I'm still not quite finished, Bob. Can you let me finish my sentence? Yeah, thank you. Please don't talk over me, Bob. It's very rude and ignorant and demonstrates that you are, in fact, losing. So if you don't mind, please don't interrupt me continually. Okay, Bob? Does the sextant prove that the horizon is a physical location or not?
That's a great question, Nathan. Is the horizon a physical location? Well,
no, that's not what I asked. I asked if the sextant proves that the horizon is a physical location. That's what I asked. Don't change the question.
The sextant will prove that the horizon is a measurable position. Yes.
A measurable position. But does it prove that it's the leading edge of the sphere? You seem to be answering a different question for some reason.
No.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, so what use is this then? That's what Anthony asked earlier. So what does it prove? Nothing.
It doesn't prove that the Earth is a sphere.
Wow. Well, that only took nearly an hour.
No, it proves that
It does not prove that the Earth is a sphere. Thank you, Bob. Somebody cut that out and play it 1,000 times for this retard.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and drop the.
So when we asked you to prove that we're on a sphere, and you told us about measuring the horizon, you've just confessed this does not prove we are on a sphere. Bob the science guy, in quotes.
You don't even know what I was talking about, Nathan.
Yeah, I know what you said. You said this does not prove we are on a sphere. Those were your exact words.
Do you want the second half of it or not?
What, the bit that does prove we're on a sphere? Oh, well, that's kind of what we've been asking for an hour, but with you going around in circles and talking over everyone on the panel, kind of like you're doing now. So that's what we've been doing, asking you the original question, proof of Earth curve. We've gone round and round and round in an hour, and we still haven't got there. So is the second half going to prove what the first half that we've talked about indefinitely, this pointing at the horizon and measuring it, that you've just declared unequivocally does not prove a sphere? We're going to go beyond that and actually prove it with something different. Again, you're talking over me. I haven't quite finished. You don't wait for gaps because you're a wanker. We all know that. But yeah, so yeah, rather than telling us about, try and let me finish, Bob. I know it's difficult. You have cognition problems. I know. You maybe were socially taught how to have a conversation by your mother. Now that's not my problem, but you still will listen to what I have to say, Bob. So rather than going through the bit that does not, you're doing it again. I'll have a word with your mother later, son. Okay. So rather than proving the bit that doesn't prove we're on a sphere, Bob, yes, try and use the bit that does prove we're on a sphere. That would be great.
Good. All right. Now that you're done, I'll finish. Now, the horizon itself on a sextant simply proves that it's a measuring point. Now, combining sextant readings from different locations does prove the sphere.
How so?
Really?
Yeah, it sure does.
How?
No, it doesn't.
Because the readings that you get from a sextant only work on a sphere.
So it's back to another formal logical fallacy, affirming the consequent. So if the Earth is a sphere, we will get different measurements from a sextant at different geographical locations. We do get different locational measurements from a sextant, therefore the Earth is a sphere. Again, Bob the fallacy guy with an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy.
Now,
do you have anything other than fallacy, Bob? Because I waited for the second half, and it just seems like now you're talking over me again. So I listened to your full logical fallacy. You spelled it out for us, and now you're talking over me. It seems when I get to the demolition of your logical fallacy, you talk over me, don't you, Bob, like you're doing right now? So yes, Bob, I listened to both halves. I listened to both halves of your logical fallacy, Bob. You're not going to talk all over me. This is your last chance to shut your mouth. Then I just kick you out because you have been obliterated here. We listened to both halves of your... You're still talking, Bob. You're now interrupting me again, just to point that out for the audience. So we listened to both halves of your formal logical fallacy, Bob. And neither half of the logical fallacy proved we're on a ball. Both halves demonstrated that you know how to assume your outcome and beg the question. So, Bob, no, this didn't prove we're on a sphere. In the slightest, my friend. It was by definition a failure by a pseudoscientist to prove we're on a sphere. He also declared halfway through the example that this doesn't prove we're on a sphere. So I'd call this pretty much a win for us and a loss for you.
You're going to call it a win anyhow, one way or the other. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm going to declare your claims invalid, Bob. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to declare them invalid based on the fact that you used logical fallacy. That is what I have declared. Okay?
You can do whatever you want, Nathan. I really don't care.
Yes, I am doing what I want. I'm declaring that you are wrong. And the reason is as follows. You have formulated a logical fallacy.
Go ahead, carry on.
Truth is hilarious, isn't it?
Pretty sad. Bob the science guy showed up with no science for his
pretty
ball.
sad. It's pretty
Yep.
sad that
No
sextants
proof.
don't
No proof for
understand
your
sex.
ball. No science for your sphere. Nothing. He said nothing. 2 hours.
Pound says he now circle jerks back to the horizon and tries to make the exact same example again. I'm willing to bet a pound that's precisely what will happen. Circle jerker.
All right. Well, next thing you do is you measure the distance between degrees of latitude, and that, because there are 360 degrees in a circle, you can actually measure the circumference of the Earth from that as well and calculate the R. So
You're presupposing that that circle that you've travelled in actually relates to the outside edge of a sphere. So you're not actually doing what you say, which is measuring based on a circle. You're presupposing it's the outside edge of a sphere, giving you a spherical R value that you will derive. So you move in a circle and then declare that it's the outside edge of a sphere, giving you a spherical R.
I have too many pieces of evidence that point to the same R.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Go in peace, in R you trust, you bloody religious fundy. If you think you've got proof of R, I'd expect you to give you the best immediately. You've given us nothing but logical fallacy. So if you think you've got lots of proof, sod off and believe it.
All right. Next thing you look at is great circle courses. They have a curvature to them that determines an R value.
Yeah, you've just declared that you've gone in a circle and declared they've got curvature. So like I just pointed out, you've presupposed you're travelling on the outside edge of a sphere. I've now said it twice. Not only have you not acknowledged what I've said, you've restated it like that somehow affirms your position when begging the question.
It's demonstrable.
Oh, is it really? No, it's fundamentalism. It's not demonstrable. It's based on logical fallacy. It's not empirical. It's not based on science. It's fundamentalism. Your religion. You declare it and we must accept it. That's religion. That's fundamentalism, not empirical.
Do you want to talk about great circle courses or not, Nathan?
What, when you assume that you're travelling on the outside edge of a sphere, when you tell us that it's a circle route? So you move in a circle, but then you tell us that actually you're moving over the outside edge of a sphere on curvature. Well, that's your presupposition again, my friend. Another begging the question fallacy from Bob, the fallacy guy.
I love your fallacies, man.
No, your fallacies, you dick. I'm pointing out your fallacies. So you love your fallacies. That's what I'm pointing out. You love them because that's all you've got.
Now, do you want to go over great circle courses? We'll go ahead.
What? And assume we're on the outside edge of a sphere? This is the third time. Man, it seems when I get the habit, the routine of these circle jerking assholes, I can then get them to circle jerk like that. He's gone through the same circle 3 times in about the space of a minute. Now he's back to his original routine of talking over me.
Nathan,
maybe you should just call it sphere jerking.
Angry man. That's in the chat right now. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that.
Oh, now it's talk to the chat. Oh, right. Time for a red herring. Or maybe an appeal to consensus. Right, Bob? Let's take an opinion from the consensus in chat, rather than address the logical fallacies I've used continually. Or maybe I'll talk over Nathan again. That's always a good one.
Well, yeah, let me get a word in edgewise. So if I'm going to get anything in, I've got to talk over you, Nathan.
Look, you got in plenty. I heard you formulate every logical fallacy. Yeah, if the Earth is a sphere, then we'll see weight changes from the equator. We see weight changes from the equator. Therefore, the Earth's a sphere. If the Earth is a sphere, then we will measure differences with a sextant. We measure differences with a sextant. Therefore, the Earth is a sphere. I've heard your logical fallacies, dickhead. They're not very good.
You can use a sextant on a flat Earth. It just
pound. Who owes me a pound? Someone owes me a pound.
All right, but in any event, we're going.
In any event, I have absolutely confirmed Nathan and his definite correctness in his prediction that I would be a circle jerking asshole and come back to the horizon within 60 seconds of me betting everyone on the panel a pound. That's precisely what I'll do. Yeah, you're predictable, Bob. Very predictable.
I really
And a
don't care
sextant
what you say,
actually
Nathan.
does work on a flat Earth. The only thing you need is a map projection. Any map projection, any type of map, and it'll work.
What's the map
Because all you
projection of?
need is the angular relations in relation to position on the Earth in some kind of projection, and then you can use the longitude and latitude to coordinate with the sextant. The shape of the Earth is completely irrelevant in this process.
Well, you're wrong on that. But in any event,
No, I'm not wrong about that.
Let's take a flight from
It's
Tokyo
all
to
about
Japan.
the angular relations to the position of the Earth. That's what the sextant works with.
Okay, can you use a sextant on a Mercator projection?
Sure, you can use it
Can
on
you use a
anything, any
sextant on
kind of
an
map.
AE projection?
You can explore any kind of map using a sextant to measure out positions of the
I've got a question
heavenly
for you.
bodies
You
in
have to get
relation
the
to your
latitude and
position on the
longitude,
Earth, and it works. Doesn't matter what the shape of the Earth is.
You have
I've
to
got a
get the
question for you,
latitude and
Bob.
longitude, though.
Yeah, and any map will give that to you, no matter the type of projection. No matter what you assume the shape of the Earth to be, all you need is the longitude and
You have to have the
latitude.
latitude and longitude from your
Yeah,
position.
you know why? You know why? Because the longitude and latitude are based on the angular relations of the celestial bodies with the position of the Earth. And that is exactly what you use to coordinate yourself with a sextant on the Earth, no matter the
Yes.
shape.
But a sextant only measures correct angles on a sphere.
Bob.
No,
does not
it
measure
measures
on a
the correct angles on the Earth, not on a
Just,
sphere.
just
on
done
the
it
Earth.
again. Just
Using
declared
the-
his fundy belief again. So he's just said it only works on a sphere. So in other words, Bob's made up his mind. He's a religious fundamentalist. He's decided what shape it is, and that's what it is. Fundy.
Can I
Based
add
on
something,
evidence, yes.
Bob? That maybe you can use to validate what they're not allowing you to use, and then I'll let you continue. But what you're saying about the sextant, I agree with you, is correct. But I also would say that there is a way for you to conclude with just using Polaris and a sextant that you are on a sphere. Because I did something similar, but with the sun over the equinox.
Yeah, but
and
you don't know the difference between cosine and
Let me
sine,
guess, you
mate, so it doesn't matter.
presupposed it. Right?
I'm just I'll explain this real quick, and I'll let Bob run with it. But right, so the way you can conclude that this is a sphere is by you'd start at the North Pole, for instance, right, and you'd measure the Polaris. It should be exactly 90 degrees above you because that's where it's supposed to be, and you would move away from the equator southward.
Sorry,
at
sorry,
111
Kosho. Sorry to interrupt, Kosho. What's the equator exactly?
The equator, you can define it in several different ways. I haven't brought that up though.
You just said
It
the
is.
word equator, so I want to know in this
No, I said the
example.
North Pole.
I hadn't finished asking my question. In this example, what is the equator?
The equator would be the distance that's it was like 6,000 miles from the North Pole, but we haven't gotten to the equator. I'm just at the North Pole only.
Yeah, you said you're going to travel to the equator. I want to know where you're traveling to.
We're just traveling southward.
South.
Yeah. So we'll just point the compass northward and travel the opposite direction.
Northward, so that would be outwards then.
Yeah, southward.
Outwards,
that's
outwards, out. Not up,
Whatever
not
word you like
down.
to use,
Outwards.
it's the same way. You would just use the.
Shout out to Retro Bill for the super chat. Says Bob the most. I can't read it with the sun on it. I'll wait till it goes up the page a little bit. Lamentable. There we go. Debate performance in history of the show. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Kosho, I've got a question for you.
Hold on, if you just allow me to continue real quick because I feel like no point gets completed here, and then whatever you can ask the question. But yeah, so southward, outward, whatever word you like to use, just go opposite of the North Pole or north.
So no. The opposite of the North Pole. Opposite meaning that it's antipode.
Meaning that you would point it north and walk the opposite direction.
Opposite
Because,
in what
honestly,
way?
this
Opposite's
is
quite
explainable
vague.
to almost
I'm
anybody.
trying to establish when I travel in that direction, am I travelling towards a different pole, antipode to where I was? That's why I asked what the horizon was. I want to know what you think I'm doing when I make that journey.
Sure, I would say so, but I know that you guys disagree, so I don't want to.
Well, let's just hear it. Don't just assume it and assume the audience knows. I've asked a very direct question. I want an answer. So tell me, what is it that we're doing when we travel? Are we, as I correctly assume, travelling antipode and presupposing we're on a sphere?
Not at all. Not at
Oh,
all.
we're not.
All we're doing is
So
walking
we're
away
not
from it.
traveling down. Okay, I'll just get that clear.
said he
We're
was
not
traveling
traveling.
south, you
Oh, Bob
idiot.
seems to have piped up. Yeah,
Let
I
me
know I've
finish
got him
then.
on the ropes, Bob.
I'll
I
go
know
back,
you
Bob.
need to come to the rescue. Yeah, I know. This is me about to batter him. So, Bob, you can just sit back and enjoy the
This is
show,
what I've
my
actually
friend,
done.
while I drag out Kosho's presupposition. I know he doesn't want to confess it, but I know it's there, and so does everyone on the panel. It's just fun to watch how he obfuscates it. But don't defend him,
That's
Bob.
fine.
He said he was traveling south, Nathan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
south.
You're the one
Is that
adding
antipode,
antipodal.
Bob?
I'll say he's
Bob,
traveling
Bob.
antipodal,
Yeah, maybe
but
you
he
can answer
said
then,
he's
Bob.
south.
Bob, is south antipode to north in this example or not?
And actually, it's not even involved. It's not at all involved. The flat plane or sphere wasn't even involved.
Well, that would be absolutely involved then, because those two things are quite specifically contrasting each other. So while you declare it's not involved, it's the crux of your point.
No, it's not. We're walking away from the North Pole. That's all we're doing. We're just walking away from the position that we started making our measurement. That's literally the only thing we're doing. Okay? So you don't have to worry about where the antipode is. You don't have to worry about if it's flat or round. You're just walking away from that point. So if I just
Well, if it
continue,
was a
it'd take
ball,
me
you pretty much
10
wouldn't have
seconds.
to worry about that, though.
Just let it get to the end then. Go on.
Honestly, all you'd have to do is see where you started, and if that was pointed north, when you walked a little bit south, just make sure that every time you walk, keep the compass in the same direction. So make sure you're continuing the same direction away from it.
Oh,
But other
the
than that-
compass points to magnetic locations. It's not that reliable compared to celestial orientation.
Well, right. That's why we're taking this measurement. So
What
that's just what
measurement?
you do: is you walk 111 kilometers southward from that position, and you take another measurement using the sextant, and you continue to do that every 111 kilometers. You can go all the way until you get to where it's 0. But the one thing that would make a distinction between a flat plane and a sphere is on a sphere, those
Sorry, you're now
those
assuming
angles should
your outcome.
increase.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
You're now assuming your outcome. You're now declaring that we're on a sphere for this example, aren't you?
No, I'm comparing two models. I'm
No,
comparing a flat-
no. Just giving it as a false equivalency doesn't work either. Just because you demand that we have a straw man example to put alongside your begging the question fallacy doesn't change the fact that you've just decided to place this example on a sphere.
Here's
Hey,
what I'm
Nathan,
doing.
why don't you be quiet and
What
let him
happened on a
finish?
sphere.
Bob, I'm going to kick you out. So you think you
They
need to
match
defend
up.
him, do you, Bob?
Nathan, you're assuming what I'm saying incorrectly. If you let me correct what I'm saying.
No, you said, if we're on a sphere. I heard what you said, and then I pointed out that that's begging the question. You then said, no, I'm comparing two models. Then I pointed out that that's a false equivalency. So I do know what you're doing. I'm just pointing it out. And where it's
Well, why don't you
fallacious.
find out first and see which one of us looks like an ass afterward. Okay. The reason I'm using that is so that we have something to compare our measurements to. We know what would happen on a sphere, and
There he goes again. So we automatically know it's a sphere then, in this example.
no, you'd have to make these measurements first and conclude that. Unfortunately,
So you make the
we already
measurements.
have, and many people have. And from Polaris, each 111 kilometers southward, it only goes linearly in 1 degree each 111 kilometers, which would not happen on anything except for a sphere.
Oh, so you are presupposing a sphere like Bob. You're just putting the presupposition at the end of the statement rather than the beginning, which is exactly
Yeah,
what
so
Bob
that's
did.
not-
Nathan, you
So
have
Bob
no
also,
idea
getting rumpused again, it seems.
Conclusion?
Getting rumpused. So yeah, so you've just put the presupposition at the end, Kosho.
Yeah, so can you really call that a presupposition then?
Yeah, you can. It just gets declared at the end of the statement. It still presupposes that the Earth is a sphere when you make this observation. You just declare that fact at the end of the statement rather than the beginning. It's still absolutely, unequivocally, in case Bob can't help himself. Bob can't help himself. He knows his teammates getting battered. Right, Bob?
No,
so
you're
you've got to
just
join
stupid
in,
to
haven't you,
understand
Bob?
what he's saying.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you presuppose it at the beginning of your assertion or the end. It's still a presupposition, Kosho. You don't
Sorry,
have
you're
to
not
like
getting
it.
away
And you can
smuggling
all
that
rumpus the living hell out of me while I point it out. I don't mind, dickheads. In our you trust,
Okay, well,
you
fine
must
then.
presuppose the ball. It must happen at some stage. With
So-
you, it just
so
happened
hold
at the
on,
end.
Nathan.
And now I'm being rumpus, aren't I? While I demolish your religious belief, your presuppositions. Yeah, Coco. Yeah, you keep rumpusing me while I crap on your religion based on your use of a presupposition. You could just rumpus me. It's all you can do. Try and stop the audience from hearing your demolition.
No, well, I'm trying to get you to stop so I can actually correct you in what you're saying, okay?
No, you don't need to. You've explained it. If we're on a sphere, you just said it at the end of the statement. It doesn't change the fact that you presupposed you're on a sphere.
Nathan, the reason it's not a presupposition is because you're making the measurements first. If the measurements would have gotten, you would have gotten further and further angles, the further south you went in a linear fashion, then you would have not been able to conclude it was a sphere. But that's
Sorry, you've concluded it's a sphere based on star movements that you observe. So you see something change in the sky. That's it.
No,
That's what you actually observe. Something changing as you move in the sky.
yeah, the angle of the object in the sky.
Yeah, we heard. I know. But then you have to actually make your conclusion. So you observe things in the sky changing as you move. Yeah? That doesn't prove jack. But then you presuppose it's happening because you're on a sphere, don't you? And say it must work.
The only proof we
Anyhow, I was
really
only
have
throwing
is
at the
that there
box so
are
that-
angular relations with the heavenly bodies and the earth. And what you're going to conclude the shape to be deduced on that knowledge you gather, that's up to you. And there's where the presupposition comes in. But you can't smuggle in R without us taking notice. We're
I
trained.
didn't smuggle in R at all.
Yeah, you
but
did.
If any of
You did.
Yeah, when you said if you're on a sphere, or things like that can only work on a sphere, that would be you smuggling in R.
No,
I'd
I
like
was
to
using
ask a-
geometry in the outside.
Does the
surface
section
of the-
give you an accurate position on Earth, Nathan?
I'd like to ask you questions for the Globers. Now, imagine you're going to invent the compass. We all know how a compass works. It always points to the magnetic North Pole and never points to the magnetic South Pole. Now, you're going to have a compass and it's pointing in a direction. You don't know what the directions are. How are you going to find that? You're going to have to find a fixed point. What fixed point in the celestial stars do you point that to? You're going to find that it points it to Polaris, correct?
You understand the compass doesn't point to stars, right?
It points to the magnetic North Pole. Is that correct or not?
Yes, that is correct. So why
Okay,
are you
now-
bringing in stars?
Because I'm trying to find out where your logic is heading. Because if you have any, you'd figure this out. Now, if you're directly underneath the sun at noon, directly overhead where there's no shadows, and you've got the compass in your hand, you wait till nighttime, and you see that, okay, that's pointing to Polaris. Now you can figure out that on the east side, that's where the sun rises. On the west, it sets. Now, is there a point on the compass that points south? Now, is there a fixed position that you can find that goes south? We know that there's a fixed position north, fixed position east and west because of the sun. Now, is there a fixed position going south?
Well, you would just fix it north and go the opposite direction.
Yeah, but is there anything that's celestial, whether it's a star or the moon or the sun, that is fixed towards south?
Now, north of the equator,
Shout out to Colin Turner for the super chat. Thank you very much.
pole star, and south of the equator, you can look for the Southern Cross.
But the Southern Cross isn't fixed. It also rotates. It moves.
Yeah,
not
but
like
you take
Polaris.
the point of
Celestial
it,
pole?
and that's where the celestial sphere rotates around at these locations.
But it's not a fixed point in the sky like Polaris is. It's not fixed as if you're on the equator where the sun rises
Well,
on the east and
To
sets on the
be
west.
fair,
So I
Polaris
just want to
isn't
know if there's
exactly
if a
that
fixed point
center
in the
either.
south.
Polaris
No, that's
isn't
not a
exactly
southern
that
pole
center
star.
either.
It's the most fixed position of any star that we have in our universe from
Yes,
the Earth's point of view.
but it's not
There's
perfectly
nothing
that
similar
center.
to it, not even on the south.
Jesus.
So I just want to know.
Sorry, guys,
where
guys,
can you
hold on a
find
second. Guy, I don't know what's your name, Eben.
Cinder, what are you doing?
When you're talking, I don't know if you're moving your microphone around or what.
So Nathan, can you see Polaris, the North Star, from below the equator?
What's the equator?
Can you see the pole star, the Polaris, from
Yeah,
south of the equator.
What is the equator, Bob?
90 degrees south, or 0 degrees latitude. It's a line on a map. You tell me whether or not you can see Polaris south of that, away from the North Pole.
Yeah, I'm
think
trying to
you
figure out
actually
what the
can.
equator actually is, though, in your mind, Bob. Where am I traveling to? Is it the outside edge of the sphere again?
I simply gave you a point. 0
He said
degrees
that-
latitude. Listen,
Yeah,
I think
the
you
reason I asked,
actually
can
though,
you
Bob.
see the Polaris from south of that, say 20 degrees?
Before you ask a
south of
question to
that?
someone else, can you answer my question first, please?
About the southern celestial pole?
No,
there's not an
the
actual
south
star
point
there,
of a
there's a
compass.
void.
Where can you fix that if you didn't have a fixed point, which is northeast, which is the sun's rising, and sun and west, which is the sun setting? Is there a fixed point that you could go south first and then affix all the other points in a compass?
There's a celestial pole in the south, but it's actually a void. Basically, what you'd have to do is look at star trails and see what's in the bullseye of that. There's not a star there like there is in the North Star.
That's DMT Matrix for the super chat. Bob competed first place. Dumbest person I've heard. Thanks for the chat. Oh,
Well, thank you very much. I'm number one. So, Nathan, now I ask you a question. From 20 degrees south latitude, can you see Polaris?
Don't know. I've never checked.
Okay, so you don't know.
No.
Can you see the Southern Cross from England?
No, I don't
Nope.
believe so.
Okay, tell me why.
I don't know the answer to that, Bob. What's your claim?
Okay, it's because the Earth's spherical.
So let me get it straight. If the Earth is a sphere, we will not see the Southern Cross from England. We don't see the Southern Cross from England, therefore the Earth's a sphere.
I have an
That's
alternative
evidence for sure,
explanation
yeah.
for it. When you're in England, the Southern Cross is beyond sight. It's out of view. You'd
Well,
have
doesn't
to
it
go
explain
further
why?
south in order to get it back into visibility again.
So it's
Sorry,
further
I'll
than
just,
you
I'll
can
just say
see.
it again,
How far
Bob.
can you see?
Bob, can you just acknowledge what I've just said? So,
What?
if the Earth is a sphere, I will not see the Southern Cross from England. I do not see the Southern Cross from England, therefore the Earth is a sphere. Is that correct?
No, it's not. It's evidence that the Earth is a sphere. There's a
No, it's not evidence. It's called an affirming the consequent, formal, logical fallacy.
point it out for me then, Nathan.
I'll say it again. No problem. If the Earth is a sphere, we will not observe the Southern Cross from England. Precisely your question. So you asked if I could see the Southern Cross from England. I said no. And then you asserted that it was because the Earth is a sphere. So now I'm formulating that. It's called a logical syllogism. The only problem being that it's actually a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. If I cannot see the Southern Cross from England, then the Earth is a sphere. The Earth is a sphere because I cannot see the Southern Cross from England. Correct, Bob?
Nope.
No, that's what you said.
Evidence.
You asked me if I could see the Southern Cross from England. I said no. Then you explained that the reason for that was because the Earth was a sphere, Bob. So absolutely yes. It's just yet another logical fallacy, Bob.
Nathan,
Nah.
it's evidence for a spherical Earth. I'm telling
No, it's called an affirming the consequent, formal, logical fallacy. Not evidence for a sphere, evidence that you know how to formulate a fallacy.
Okay. How far?
Yeah, it's not okay. Another time that when I rip your argument to pieces, you go either or okay, or yeah, right, or no, Bob. That's your argument being handed back to you on
Well,
a plate.
laughing at you wouldn't be polite. So what I do is generally just say, okay.
Okay, what? I'm correct. It is a formal logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent, as pointed out and detailed now on 3 separate occasions for this example you just gave us. Yeah, it is. That's okay. Yeah, correct. Right.
That's fine. Go ahead. Call it whatever you want.
And affirming the consequent, formal logical fallacy. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. The fallacy being that one doesn't necessarily follow the other. For example, if I eat 10 hamburgers, I am full. If P, then Q. If P, I eat 10 hamburgers, then Q, I am full. I am full, Q, therefore I ate 10 hamburgers. P. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. The problem being that one doesn't follow the other. So asserting that just because I'm full meat I've ate 10 hamburgers is a fallacy, because I've actually eaten Chinese food. You asserting that because I can't see the Southern Cross, the Earth is a sphere, is a fallacy. Okay, Bob?
Spent a lot of time on.
Okay.
Whatever you say, Nathan.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Whatever you say.
You know, if you included
Yeah,
the
you just amused me,
rotation,
Nathan. I stated that it was evidence of a globe. I'm saying that you can't see it because the Earth is a globe. But I'm saying, in this case, that is evidence of a globe.
No. Again, for the 4th time. For Bob, a circle-jerking retard. It's not evidence for a globe. It is evidence that you can formulate a logical fallacy. If the Earth is a sphere, insert bullshit here. Bullshit has been inserted here, therefore the Earth is a sphere.
Hey, Nathan, I'm going to have to bring up the rules of the chat for you. No foul language, or you may have to be invited
I'll
back
just
to-
reiterate the rules to you then, Bob, because clearly you don't understand my rules. And they are, I assure you, my rules. You will do as I say and not as I do.
you know, Nathan, you know, with this evidence, because I mean, for me, I understand what he's saying. He's not.
No, I'll say it again for Kosho. It is not evidence. It is a formal, logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent. Was that slow enough?
Nathan, you don't
Kosho?
know the difference.
Not evidence of a sphere, but evidence that you can formulate logical fallacy.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you, Nathan, because
I'm right. It is, in fact, a logical fallacy. I formulated it for Bob 3 times based on exactly what he
I
said.
heard you do the song, and you did a couple other things with it, and I think that's wonderful. A bit of a waste of time, but that's all right. So I'm going to be quick.
No, it's not all right. It's not all right,
time.
Kosho. It's a logical fallacy. You declaring afterwards that it's evidence to back your teammate also won't change the fact that it's a logical fallacy. Not okay. Logical fallacy.
Spend a lot of time
Nathan.
doing that. I'm not even speaking on that. I'm just giving also to Bob.
Yeah, you were speaking on it. You said it is evidence. So now you're a liar, just like yesterday, when you claimed that the body was like the Earth and the cells were like Earth, only to then later blame it on Zinder because you're a liar. Yeah, you're a liar, Kosho. So yes, you did absolutely declare, as Bob declared. It is on point. Yes, it is talking to this subject. You declared, again, like Bob declared, that it was evidence of a sphere Earth. And I'll say it for the 6th time. No,
He's just gonna
Kosho,
talk over you. He won't
it's
let you get
not
a word in
evidence
edgewise.
of a sphere. It's a formal, logical fallacy known as affirming the consequent.
Nathan, I'm not
Not
even speaking
evidence.
about that.
Not evidence.
Is this your strategy?
What, to point out the flaws in your reasoning? Yeah, that's my strategy. It's also the way I win, because I point out where someone has a logical fallacy and then explain the logical fallacy, then formulate the logical fallacy and explain it in detail 6 times. So yeah, that's me winning.
this?
I'm not
I'll
interested
follow
in your
myself,
logical
Bob.
fallacies, Nathan. We're trying to
make
sit
it-
down and present the evidence you're asking
Hey.
for.
We're not trying to formulate logical fallacies here. We're trying to present evidence. Yeah, but you're not, Bob. You're actually presenting fallacy.
How about this? I'll present some evidence.
2.5 hours,
Bob
man.
said.
You haven't
And then
presented
we'll
a damn
continue.
thing.
This is going in circles, and that's like, we don't have to do that. So I'll add.
Absolutely beautifully said. Yes, we are indeed going round and round in circles. As you assert that your logical fallacies are actually evidence of Earth's veracity, they're not. They're logical fallacies. If you're watching this in the Nathan Oakley 1980 audience, then stay tuned as we will have an after show to follow this. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the people who've tuned in to the Nathan Oakley live stream and hopefully sharing and subscribing. Also, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this live debate possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and visit the forum. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
You have conversations like this. This is not productive in any kind of way whatsoever. I haven't even said what my point was. So there's no way that
perfectly
anyone can
productive
judge it.
because we're showing that you can do nothing but presuppose the Earth is a sphere.
No, what you guys described
Everything
earlier.
you do, everything you, both of you have done in this last 2.5 hours is presupposing it's a sphere and trying to fill in
Let me
Do you
call
the
understand
blanks
how
in between that.
Posing it
And
before
you
you
haven't
make the
deviated
measurements,
from
right?
that process a single time. A single
you guys never are going to learn anything because you refuse to listen. And, that's sad. Don't you want to know these things? Don't you want to hear evidence?
Know your dogma?
Yeah,
No, I
we
don't
know
want to know
these
your
things.
dogma.
We know
We've
that you
listened to your
presuppose
dogma.
You don't know
Ripped it to pieces,
anything.
Bob.
You
Yeah,
can't
we do.
even
We've heard it all.
shit.
We've heard this
Lost
shit
from the
for
document.
4
You arrogant
years.
man.
We've
You
heard
arrogant
it
man.
all.
You think
all
you've
of
got
it.
something to
Look,
teach us?
here's-
Like sextants
here's what
that
you
you've
guys
never
do.
Far
used?
from
You sat here and
all
told us about
traditional
sextants
bullshit
you never
that I've
used.
Here's
ever
what you
done in
guys
this
Here's
do.
the
You want to
thing.
be
Why
special.
is it that me, a flat earther, can present the evidence for globe Earth better than you can, Bob?
Because no
I
one
keep
talks
having
over
it correct
when
time.
you're talking.
You guys don't, you guys have this narrative that you have to stick to. All right. Now, for example,
What is it?
we can't have space because if we had space, we could have satellites there, which would take pictures of the spherical Earth, which defeat your
Oh,
narrative.
really? Where's that
Therefore, you
narrative?
have to
Where's
deny-
that narrative?
Do you have proof of
Where's
space?
that narrative? I've
Do you
never
have
said
proof
that.
of
Right.
that?
I've never said that.
Yeah,
I've never
we've
heard
got
Nathan
access
say
Because
that.
if you
You're
could
right.
prove,
You know
because
what
if
we
you
do
could actually
say?
prove space was a real thing, then maybe we could believe that your satellite's
All right.
real.
All
But
right.
you
then
can't
I'm
even
gonna
prove
sit down
that
and tell
space
you
is a
this.
real thing.
Fine.
That
Tell me
narrative is
what you
incorrect.
consider
The
proof of
narrative
space.
that we uphold is there is no space
The
because you
proof of
can't have a
space would
vacuum
be
next to
No, let him give me
atmosphere
proof of space.
without a container.
exactly
You keep
what Armin
talking.
just said. Exactly what Armin just said.
Not
Prove
to
that you can
make
have a
it space,
vacuum
because
next to a
otherwise we would
pressurized
have
system.
satellites that would
Okay,
take
I have
pictures of
that.
the ball.
I have that right
That's
You don't
your
even know what the
ridiculous.
You
That's
have
about
that?
thermodynamics.
You have that,
Yes.
Kosho?
I have that
You
right
have
here.
that for us? All right,
Yes.
thanks. Let's hear it.
I mean, I have the it's going to be an entire paper and everything like that. But it's basically an experiment, and I already know because there was somebody who's a flat earther. He was going to present this to you guys, but he was worried that the same way you guys do with everything else is tear it apart based off of the way it looks or something like that, or the way you guys are
Can you
assuming
get
it to
straight
be.
to the point
But
and just tell us? Just
the
read the
fact
whole thing
is-
if it's a paper.
Jupiter.
So the fact is that in this
Look
experiment,
at Jupiter.
yeah. So the fact is that when this is happening, shit, where was I? Okay, right. So you have this experiment enclosed in a vacuum. So the entire experiment is happening in a vacuum, and then gas is added to it. But because of a force that's applied inside of the vacuum, it creates it just creates an area where the ball of gas is separated from the vacuum, and it's not dissipating into the vacuum, the same way that you guys are. You guys claim that the vacuum of space would do that to the Earth, but just like this experiment, the Earth has a force which keeps the air in.
So how much,
What
how
force
much
would that
force
be?
would that require?
What force would that be?
You know how
In this
much
experiment
force
or
is
in,
required in order to keep
Okay.
gas
Do you guys know what Jupiter
gas
is?
pressure on a ball opposing the giant astronomical sized vacuum of outer space? You need a lot of
Where's
force. You
that
actually
force,
need so much force that if that force was
No.
actually there, we would all be squished.
Arwen,
No,
you're
I-
displaying.
okay,
I want
show me the
to hear what
calculations for
force
that,
he
Chief.
has, though.
Yeah.
Show me the calculations that says we'd all be squished. How much force would that be? You don't know, do you?
Show me the calculation that there's a force, actually.
There
I
isn't.
just got one
Doesn't matter.
question.
No,
I can
no,
give
no.
you a
just have
measurement of the
to-
force.
Chocolate, the whole point is, even if you say, oh, gravity is not real, and yeah, there's a good point for that, but even
Gravity
if it
doesn't
were
need your
real, the
permission.
accepted strength of gravity and what it actually does, it is basically a pull or a push on matter in a direction at a steady pace. That is what it does. That the current accepted strength of gravity is physically and simulatory impossible to keep the gas
me your
pressure
calculations for
on
that.
the
I'd like
ball.
to see
it's
your
not
math.
strong enough. It's not
I'd like to see
strong
your math
enough
on
to
that.
do that.
Math? What are you talking about? Where's the scientific
Show me the
evidence
math
for
on that.
gravity?
I agree
Show
with
me the
Bob.
force.
Sorry,
You
guys, sorry to interrupt.
Show.
Sorry, where's the
All right.
scientific evidence of gravity?
I could show you. That
Scientific
makes- all this
evidence.
stuff exists. You guys have seen it all, so I don't know what we're.
Never
Yeah, well, I'm not going to argue gravity. Gravity doesn't need your permission to exist, Nathan. Any of you guys know Jupiter?
Sorry, Bob.
Anybody
Bob,
ever
was
see
that a
Jupiter?
hand wave dismissal? Was that a hand wave dismissal? Was it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, right.
Gravity
Should I
doesn't
kick
need
you
to
out
get
then?
permission,
Are you
Nathan.
no longer got
Anybody
anything
here
to
seen
offer?
Jupiter?
Your name is Bob the Science Guy. I've asked for scientific evidence of gravity, and you've given a hand wave
And
dismissal
I'm not going to give it to you.
Oh,
because
well,
I choose-
that's very disappointing for anybody who thinks that you're actually a useful person to present evidence on this panel. You're just going to hand wave dismiss the hard questions, are you, Bob? Well, gravity is something that you're just going to claim is real and give a hand wave dismissal when I say, please provide scientific evidence for it. That's very poor.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, we know you're not going to because there isn't any scientific evidence for gravity. That's what I will declare. You're not going to give it because there isn't any.
Yeah, and I tried. Trust
you
me,
can-
I tried. I tried.
You can have a look
full-on
at my
power.
video that's coming out.
tried-
No, I'll ask you right here, right now. Show me now what your scientific evidence for gravity is.
I don't care to.
Oh, well then don't assert it's real in 5 minutes' time, having not provided any scientific evidence of it. Yeah? You don't get to be a dogmatist here, Bob. You don't just get to say, is there any scientific evidence of gravity? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, what again, how bloody predictable are you? So while I was pointing out that you would just say yes to that question, and that's not a sufficient standard of evidence, you literally did it while I was saying it. How predictable are you?
I really don't care to present it.
Yeah, I know you don't care to present it because there isn't any. That's what I'm going to assert now, based on Bob, the science guy, not presenting it. If there was some,
It's a
you could
measurable
be damn
force,
sure you'd be
Nathan.
presenting
I don't
it, Bob.
need to present it.
Yeah, you don't need to, because you've got a fundy belief about it. Yeah? If you had science for it, you could be damn sure you'd be presenting it. But you're saying no,
can.
we just have
Easily.
to accept it. Gravity's there whether you like it or not, Nathan. Right? Bob the science
Yeah,
guy?
basically, it
That's your
doesn't need your
science?
permission.
Declaration of your religious fundy belief.
It doesn't have anything to do with it. It's, gravity is not requiring your or my permission to exist.
No, it requires scientific validity to exist. That's what I'm asking for. It doesn't depend on my belief. Or your belief, strangely enough, Bob. While you can just put your hand up and say, yes, I believe, we don't accept that standard. Fundy belief doesn't pass here.
I don't care.
Well, then prove
I
it
truly
with scientific evidence, then, you fundy.
Why is
I'm
it
not
here?
presenting scientific evidence. I'm simply stating that we have a measurable force of 9.8 meters per second squared going downward.
Sorry.
I'm not saying why it's happening or anything else. I'm saying it's a measurable force, and it is. It's not open to debate.
It is open to debate. There's no scientific evidence.
A measurement's
for gravity.
not open to debate.
Oh,
A
you're
foot's
in the
a
middle of
foot.
talking over me, are you? My bad.
An acceleration
My bad.
is
My
an
bad, Bob. I didn't
acceleration.
realise that you just had the mic continually. So, you are starting to claim something that sounds close to scientific evidence, even though you declared that you weren't going to. So, is
No, I'm
this
not going
is
to.
this 9.8 meters per second? Sounds like maths. Is that scientific evidence?
You can easily demonstrate it, yes.
Sorry, so it's scientific evidence then?
No, it's a measurement.
Oh, so it's not scientific evidence of gravity then?
It's a measurement, Nathan.
Measurement of what? Something falling? Yeah, that's not measuring a force.
It's a measurement of an acceleration, yes.
Yeah, that's not a force of gravity then, is it?
I'm not saying what it is. I'm saying it's...
Oh, well, why are we having this conversation then? If I'm asking you for scientific evidence of gravity, you're pointing out 9.8 meters per second squared and then saying that you're not trying to prove gravity. It seems like you're asking me about whether or not I have cheesecake again, Bob. Is this unrelated to gravity?
Bob is talking about.
I was talking about Jupiter. I'm talking, you
But why
asked
do you
me
want to
about
talk
an
about why do you want to talk about a light in the sky when we're talking about this force that apparently keeps us here on
We weren't
Earth?
talking about the force. We were talking about the vacuum of
Because
space.
that light in the sky can be seen by non-government telescopes.
Or to put it another way, he needs to move on to a red herring because he has no scientific evidence of gravity.
I have plenty of scientific evidence. I'm just not going
Excellent.
to give
Let's
it
hear
to you.
some.
You're going to have to wait
Excellent.
until the
Yeah,
video.
we-
You know
This
that
is a light in
it
the
would
sky.
help your
Excellent.
case if you did, right?
Finally,
Bob?
everyone heard it. He said he's got tons of scientific evidence for gravity. He's called Bob the Science Guy. I want some science from you for gravity.
He's trying to share.
Not a
something
problem.
else
You
that
can
there is
tune
no
into my channel, like and subscribe.
No, let's not have him plug his shitty channel here. No, thank you. So you're not going to actually provide the panel with scientific evidence of gravity. You're going to plug your own channel. Right, that's not acceptable standards of evidence either, Bob. You're here now.
You can have a look at the video. It'll explain it.
No, we don't want to. You're here now and we're asking you, but you seem to be failing miserably. So what's your scientific evidence of gravity? A YouTube video?
I'm not going to give it to you, Nathan.
I know, that's because there isn't any. If you had some, Bob the Science Guy, do you not think you'd be wanting to shove it right in our faces?
Nope.
No, of course not. You wouldn't want to win this argument. No, I'm going to declare there is no scientific evidence. If anybody had scientific evidence of gravity, I'd expect Bob the Science Guy to ram it right down our throats at this moment. But instead, we're getting a handwave dismissal. Amazing, that.
That's not what science is about, ramming things down people's throats.
No, the example of the scientific validity that you have, you'd be ramming that down our throats if you had any, but you don't.
Why, when we're talking about a point, we don't just stay with that point? Because Bob was talking about what we originally were talking about.
Yeah, because someone like you, Kosho, what's the word, a wanker, keeps going round and round in circles. So, for example, you'll assert that matter can leave a closed system for approximately an hour and a half, ignoring all objections that defy it, all of your references that you provide that disagree with your assertion, and every explanation given by 3 people over the course of quite a long period of time. So, while you can't ever concede anything, Kosho, yeah?
What 3 people?
Sorry, I was talking to Kosho, Bob. Clearly, your name's Kosho. Did your mother not teach you how to have a conversation, Bob?
You didn't address me, so I wasn't even clear you were talking to me. So
yeah, you're a liar.
So
Kosho.
there, Nathan.
Yesterday, you blamed Zinda for something you said.
No, that is what happened. I didn't say anything about a cell. He said that about.
Yeah, you did. I'll give you the timestamp after the show. But yes, you absolutely did, and then immediately blamed it on Zinda.
He even came up and said
you
he said
are,
it himself.
Kosho,
There's
liar.
people in here who know that.
Yeah, now you're talking over me. Nobody likes this. Does trigger people.
Afterward.
People being pointed out that they are liars. It triggers them. So that's why you're talking over me right now, Kosho.
No, it's just because you run this like it's a mafia.
Yeah, Kosho, it's all right, my friend. Yeah, you're a liar. You got caught red-handed on yesterday's show. You blamed Zinda, and now you're doing it again. Triggered liar. Triggered liar.
Make a bet.
Triggered
so
liar.
Sure
right, you Kosho. Triggered
No,
liar.
we're just sure that you're not going to pay.
No, okay, fine. But you too then, Arwen.
You never.
Hey, Nathan, how would you like to have a little bet with me?
Religious fanatics because they never pay out. They always find an excuse.
Yeah, I already had a bet with the panel that you would use the Horizon example and circle jerk us. I bet £1. You going to pay me that £1?
No, I'm not going to bet £1. I want a P1000. I want $1,600 on file with my attorney here in Michigan.
Oh, really? I don't give a shite what you want, Bob. So, no, I don't want to bet with you. You are, what's the word, a wanker. And I would prefer never to engage with you. It's nice that you like to engage with me, though, isn't it, Bob? I don't watch your videos and don't want to plug here.
Nathan.
But it's nice that you like my attention, don't you, Bob? That's why you're here.
All right, I'll make a non-tangible bet with me.
No, thank you. Did you not listen? When you asked a question, I very specifically gave you the answer, but you're so arrogant that you ignore my answer. No, Bob, I do not want to bet with you. That would be the end of this conversation. That's not your cue to continue to deal out your bet that I don't want to take. No, thank you.
You're gutless, Nathan. You're a coward.
No, I just don't want to bet with you.
Yeah, you'll make a claim.
You don't want to bet your channel, Nathan?
No, I don't want to bet
against
with you.
Mine?
Sorry, Bob.
It's yours.
What did you listen to the answer the first, the second, or the third time? You have no collateral here, Bob. You think I want to barter my hard-earned work with you, a wanker? No.
That's because you're gutless, Nathan, and you know that.
No, not gutless. I work extremely hard on my channel, and I see value in my channel, and I'm not going to wager it with a wanker.
Yeah, mine's a hobby. You're right. I don't.
Yeah, yours is a hobby. This is what I do for a living. I don't want to wager. I take it seriously. You don't take it seriously. You're a circle jerking asshole. That's why I don't want to bet with you.
It isn't my income to get money out of gullible people.
Oh, right. So now you're insulting my audience. How does the audience like that, I wonder? So you think the audience is gullible? Yeah, your audience is gullible, Bob. My audience, on the other hand, has generally got a little bit more critical thought than most people, and they spot fallacious reasoning and laugh at people who use fallacious reasoning.
Well, take my bet then, Nathan.
Pardon?
Take my bet then.
Did you not hear the first, second, third, and now fourth time that I said, I do not want to bet with you. I see you as a wanker, and I tend not to want to shake the hands of wankers.
That's the point.
May we get
All
on
right.
subject? I'd like to ask Bob and Kosho a question.
Sure
Couple
thing.
questions actually. Do you know how many days are in the calendar, the solar calendar?
Yes.
How
Yes.
many?
I
Try to
think
be
it's,
as exact.
I think it's 365.242.181.
2425. Do you know where our calendar is based off of? What year it was created?
17.
19, was it?
Well, the one that when we changed everything.
We currently
like you're
use
talking
the
about-
Gregorian calendar, so that should help.
Okay, so what's your point?
It's 1582.
What's your point?
When was the law of ellipses created?
No clue.
1609. You know by who?
The law of ellipses?
Yep.
You're referring to Kepler's laws?
Yes.
Okay.
1609, while the Gregorian calendar is 1582. Now, the law of orbits, of ellipses is based off of gravity, right? That's how it's interpreted.
Well, it was
No.
based on
It was made
based on
before
measurements.
So there's no gravitational forces causing ellipses.
No,
So how did
there
they
is, but
measure
it
the
was made
ellipses?
much
Well, I
far
know
before
this.
gravity.
I want to. I'm going somewhere with this. So is that yes or no?
No, it's not based off that because it was made before gravity was even a concept.
So how did he know that there was ellipses going on with no gravity?
They were
Observation.
measurements, observations.
So gravity didn't exist yet. He just had the formula for
No, gravity
ellipses
existed.
without
We
gravity.
just didn't have it characterized.
And gravity was characterized when?
Late 1600s with Newton.
Yep,
Yeah, by Newton.
1687.
Newton was one of them. Yeah. Okay, so what's this little history lesson about? What's your point?
So they were able to form that the calendar is 365.2425 based off the Gregorian calendar in 1582, way before even gravity and way before that there's ellipses occurring.
The Gregorian
No?
calendar doesn't use that value. That value.
And how
is
did
based
it come
on-
to get that value?
That value is based on the amount of the number of times the Earth spins in a full cycle throughout the time it takes it to go around the sun.
What?
And why?
Something
What?
recently.
What? No, it's not.
It actually is. Yes.
No, it's not.
Okay, what's that number based off of then? Why would Greg?
You know where it's based off?
Whatever his name was. Why would he arbitrarily
13 moon
year with
cycles.
decimals in it?
13 moon cycles.
No, it's not 13
is
lunar
a
cycles.
year.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. No, it's not. It's in
That
between
is.
12 and 13.
That is.
It's like 12.369 or something like that.
No.
It's not 13.
13 moon cycles.
Okay, so
That's
what's
not
your
what a
point?
year is, man. I'm
Yes,
just like I can't
it
believe I have to
is.
teach you that.
It is.
Get to your point, please.
So a full circle is 360 degrees, and we would think that if the Earth is completely round and everything else orbits it, it would be exactly 360 degrees. But of course, we don't find that out until 1609 when there's a law of ellipses, and we won't really know exactly why because of 1687 with the laws of gravity from Newton. Yet in Mayan calendar and the Egyptian calendar, which is from 3000 to pretty much 3000 BC, it was always 365 days a year, yet they didn't even account for elliptical orbits. So why has it always been 365 days per year, and yet everyone assumes that that the globe Earth is 360 degrees
It
exactly?
hasn't always been 300.
Why do you need an elliptical orbit to determine what a year is?
Why
do you need to
wouldn't
know
you?
it's an elliptical orbit?
It's based
Because that's
on
how
the
we form
sun,
a
right?
calendar.
It's based on the sun, right? According to you, so that should be damn
Do you know
well
what
relevant.
Hey,
okay,
John.
well, can you go summer solstice to summer
sir.
solstice? Does that
What's up,
give
E?
you a year?
How are
we
you,
actually
sir?
goes
Very well.
March
please answer
equinox.
the question.
Because,
Can you go
because
summer
Gregorian
solstice,
calendar
summer
is based off
solstice,
the
get a
March
year?
equinox because they want to make sure that the Easter follows the full moon after
All right, that's beside the
March
point.
equinox.
Right? The moon
I'm
cycles.
I'm
Exactly.
saying,
13
can you
full
tell?
moons in a year.
Jesus
All right,
Christ.
you're not answering the question. Can you go summer solstice to summer solstice and determine what a year is?
Yes, you could.
Okay, can you go from planting season to planting season and determine what a year is? Can you go
What's
flood of
the
the Nile,
season?
flood of the Nile,
What's
and
the
determine what
season?
a year is?
What's the season based off
Same
of?
as equinox.
Is it based off the sun or is it based off the moon?
The sun. Nothing we do is based off the moon. I don't know why Arwen is saying that. We're not we're not Muslims, and we're not using the Jewish calendar. We
Doesn't
don't
have
use a
any
lunar calendar.
freaking thing to do with freaking Muslims, okay?
Yes,
It's
actually, they do.
simple
That's
fact.
the calendar
The
that they
moon
use.
cycle is 28 days. You
Yes, and
multiply
what's
it by
20
13.
what's
Guess what you get?
28 times 13.
Guess what you get?
Yeah, 28.3 times 13. Put that in a calculator and see what you get.
No.
Okay.
28 days times 13. Guess what that's going to be?
Well, that's not a lunar. That's not a lunar.
364.
That's 364, and that's so again. This number's not
So
correct.
it's a
28
little
not
bit
correct.
more than 28 days. It's 28 130 day.
That's
a
right.
moon cycle.
All right, is 364 days 365 days?
Yeah, it's a little over 28 days exactly.
We don't use
Okay,
lunar
so-
calendars, man.
Okay, so your point is
I think
taken.
that's a
Thank you very
coincidence because
much.
the moon cycle is very noticeable. It's very
All right, your
easy
point's taken.
to
Thank you very
determine
much. Can you
where
go
the moon
solstice to
cycle is.
solstice
That's
as
why
well?
it's so reliable. It's not very subtle. It's very direct, very
So the reason why we
noticeable, very
use the Gregorian
measurable.
calendar now is because throughout history, different cultures use different things, like the lunar cycles, and they didn't have it accurately. People used 300 days. People used all sorts of different combinations, and they didn't work out. 1582, it was introduced, and it wasn't widely used. It was widely used in the West. And
You know what was widely used before that? By the biggest empire in the history of the world, which is pretty much how we know it as Rome, the Julian calendar, implemented by Julius Caesar from 46 BC. Up until the Gregorian calendar, that's what was the main calendar used, the solar calendar.
Again, this is fine. Can we tell the length of 1 year by going summer solstice to summer solstice? Yes or
Yes,
no?
we can. Now,
Okay,
are we
so
using that
does-
same
what does
time
elliptical
differential, or
orbits
are
have
we
to do
using the
with summer
Gregorian
solstice?
calendar still?
Guys, I'm talking. What does elliptical orbits have to do with summer solstice to summer solstice?
You're talking. Sir, I witnessed the biggest train wreck that I've ever seen. I mean, you make the $6 million man crash and burn look like a fender bender. For God's sake, man. Thank you, Bob, the non-science fallacy guy.
Okay, you're welcome. Now go back to my original question. What does measuring the Earth from summer solstice to summer solstice have to do with elliptical orbits?
Well, what is the measurement of summer solstice to summer solstice?
Value that I gave.
What's the value?
You can sit down and use. You can use.
So why don't we use that as our calendar? Is that the most accurate measurement?
We actually do.
Accurate measure. But what I'm saying is,
no, we use the Gregorian calendar
that?
still.
What does that have to do with elliptical orbits?
Elliptical
How many
orbits?
degrees are an elliptical
What
orbit?
on earth? Give us your scientific evidence for your spinning ball religion, sir.
Way too late.
What is so hard to understand about that? Do it now.
I'm not going to. We're going to finish this point.
Yeah.
Now,
We're
Yeah,
not
tell me
finishing
what,
this point.
tell me what
We're
summer
covering your
solstice,
game.
summer solstice
can't.
has to do with an elliptical orbit, and then tell me how many
Unbelievable.
degrees are in an ellipse.
You're a clown, sir.
Well, one of
How
us
many
here
degrees are in an ellipse? The same as a circle. It's
Unbelievable.
still a circular motion.
360 degrees. That's right. So tell me what the point of bringing up Kepler and elliptical orbits have to do with anything.
No, there
I
was-
just want to know your understanding of scientific history.
Yeah. You know that we added leap days for the reason why that decimal is there at the end of
Scientific history.
365.
Scientific history, right, is the scientific method. Bob, do you know what the scientific method is?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Okay, give us the steps, very easy, of the scientific method.
Which definition would you like?
The definition.
Which definition? The definition is called the scientific
Okay,
method.
so if you have the
not
definition and I
methods.
present 20, your point is moot. So I guess it's moot.
No, there is one scientific method. The
Excuse me,
foundational
Arwen.
one, the official
Excuse
one.
me. Excuse me. I said scientific method, not methods. Do you understand the difference
Well, then you
between
said it
singular
incorrectly.
and plural?
You said it incorrectly. How many steps are in scientific
did.
method? Is it 4,
Scientific
5,
method.
6, or 7? Because I can
Okay,
show you
no.
definitions on each.
Bring it on.
You're the science guy. What's the scientific method that you use?
Well, let's see. The first thing that you generally do is formulate some sort of a question that you would like answered. And that could be observing.
Wrong.
Don't interrupt me.
You observe a phenomena.
Because you're wrong.
Excuse me.
That's
It's
number one.
observe a
Excuse me.
natural phenomenon, Bob. And I've already
What was the
showed
thing
you
that I
this
was in the
multiple
process of saying
times.
when you so rudely
No,
interrupted
but
me?
you were wrong about step one. You ask some sort of question. No, it's not. That's not in the scientific method.
Yeah, do you want me to do this again or not?
Let's let him finish. Let's let him finish. I want to hear his steps.
Okay. So the first step is you formulate some sort of a question you would like answered. This could be an observation of a natural phenomenon, a proposed mechanism, or something or other that you would like to test. Then you formulate a hypothesis. And a hypothesis is your best guess to what is causing this phenomenon. Then you verify this with observations and experimental data. Then you reach a conclusion based on your review of the data. And then the final thing is you submit it for peer review and defend it and revise as necessary. And then you rinse, wash, and repeat.
Okay, what are the parts of a scientific experiment? The three parts.
Which definition would you like to use?
A scientific experiment. What are the three parts of a scientific experiment? There's only one scientific experiment. Give it to us.
Okay, well, go ahead and give it to us then.
No, I'm asking you, Bob, the science guy. What are the three critical, crucial parts of a scientific experiment? Every single one. What are they?
Well, let's see.
Go ahead, Google real fast.
If I were to pick three, I would probably say the null hypothesis and testing for the null hypothesis.
The null hypothesis is not part of the experiment. You'd fail fifth grade general science, sir.
Hold on a second.
Okay, that's fine. I fail.
Hold on a second. Sorry.
Not a problem.
The question.
I can live with that.
Bob. What are the three constituent parts of the experiment that comes after the hypothesis? It is your hypothesis test. So not the null hypothesis, but in the testing of the hypothesis, otherwise known as the experiment, what are the three main constituent parts of an experiment, Bob? Not the null.
Well,
that's wrong.
Let's see. Your independent variable, your dependent variable, and I don't know what you would consider the third one.
Controlled variables, Bob. Those are the variables that are held constant so as to not influence the interaction between the independent and dependent variable.
Works for me.
It works for you now. You are a professed scientist that didn't know the three constituent parts of an experiment. It's like a butcher that doesn't know ribeyes come from cows, sir. Thank you very much.
Whatever you
Have a nice day.
He just expressed them. He said what you said. Just because he didn't know what you were looking for.
Well, just because he didn't know the answer, Kosho. He's declaring himself as the science guy, and yet when asked a direct question about what an experiment is, he didn't know. But you think just because he doesn't know, that's an excuse, you stupid idiot.
No, I know for a
it
fact
demonstrates admirably that Bob the science guy is actually Bob the fraud guy, because he hasn't got the vaguest clue what science is. Otherwise, he'd have known that answer off the top of his head. He didn't. Demonstratively.
Nathan, you don't know the definition of scientific method, and you can't use it.
No, don't project what just happened here, Bob. You were asked a very specific question about what science is, and you failed to answer it. You're now being defended by Kosho, apparently not knowing is okay.
Bob.
You don't even understand the scientific
You're
method.
a fraud spin
Sorry, I'll say it again, Bob. Demonstratively so. You do not know what an experiment is. That was what was just demonstrated by John. That's what's just happened. So you now declaring that I don't know what science is isn't what's just been demonstrated.
I think that was a
then tell me,
fantastic
what's the
question, Bob.
independent and the dependent variable in seismology? The science of seismology. How about astronomy?
Astronomy is not
How about
science.
genetics?
That's a
Sorry.
field of research.
So astronomy is not science.
Not directly
Sorry,
involved
Owen,
in
hold on a
scientific
second. I want to hold him to account on that.
How about
Sorry, hold on a
seismology?
second, Bob. Did you just say the science of astronomy?
Yes.
Seismology is what he
Oh,
said.
right. So we've just
And I
gone
said
through. Hold on, Bob.
seismology,
Bob,
and
Bob,
I'm
it's
adding
okay, Bob.
genetics
Bob,
to it
Bob,
as well.
Bob. No need to rumpus me. So the science of astrology. We've just
Rumpus.
established.
I got another bingo card.
It's okay, Bob. You don't need to rumpus me, Bob. So
I got a
if
third
there's
bingo card.
Yeah, all right, Bob.
perspective,
It's okay.
Nathan.
This is your only tactic. Do you know what's coming? Do you know the pummeling
Stay
that you're about to
perspective,
get?
Nathan.
So we're talking about astronomy, and you're saying it's
Yeah.
science. So, Bob, given that we've just established what a hypothesis and an experiment is, and that the experiment has an independent and dependent variable, according to you, I'd like to know what the independent variable is when the science of astronomy is being done, please. You tell me.
How about the path of a comet?
Sorry, do you know what an independent variable is?
Yeah, it's the one that you
What-
vary.
Tell me. It's the one you vary? What, as the researcher?
The one that's varied, yes.
So a comet, would that fall into that category?
Yes.
Oh, you vary
can
and
vary-
manipulate.
you can vary the path of a comet?
Comets, do you?
Been explained
here's
so
where
many
you
Sorry,
times.
Kosho, there's no need to come to his defense again, Kosho. Yes, your teammate is about to be raped. That's correct. You can try and hold us off him, but we are going to pummel Bob, the pseudoscience guy, with his current assertion that meteors are an independent variable and can be varied and manipulated by a researcher. Is that your assertion, Bob?
No.
It is your assertion. You're just doubling back because it's wrong.
No.
So I'll ask
They're
again. If it's
independent
not,
variables.
no
They don't
problem.
have to be
No problem.
physically-
It's not. No problem.
Nathan?
It's no problem. It's not.
Are you going to let me finish? or
Yeah,
not,
no.
Nathan?
I'm going to ask again because you gave the wrong answer, Bob. So it's not the independent variable of meteors. So I'll ask again. What is the independent variable when you're
Meteors
doing
and
the
comets.
science? Oh, he's talking again of astronomy, not meteors. You
Meteors
just
and
said that
vari-
isn't.
Meteors and comets would be great ones.
Oh, we've just established that they're not independent variables because they're not variable by the researcher. We just established that, Bob, you circle-jerking retard. It seems you can't keep up with the conversation. So no, I'd like you to tell me the independent variable that these astrophysicists are varying and manipulating to cause the effect of the of the phenomena that they are observing.
You're misapplying the definition, Nathan.
No, you just told us what is required in an experiment. You told us, Bob. Okay?
You need to have an independent and a dependent variable.
Excellent. So I'll ask again. In the astrophysicist's realm of science, what is their independent variable that they're varying and manipulating to cause the effect of the phenomena that they're observing?
I've already answered that, Nathan.
Yeah, you said comets. Now I'm going to
He said-
declare that you're a complete fucking idiot. Because comets
He
are
said
not
path of a
varied and
comet.
manipulated by researchers, are they, Bob? So that makes you a fucktard.
It's enough to know this.
Oh, Kosho's here again. Hey, Kosho. Hey, Kosho.
personally
Is it nice
manipulate
watching him getting
something, Nathan?
battered? Do you need to defend
You?
him? Pull us off him? While we point out
I've
just
said-
how big a fucktard he is? Yeah, comets
said this
aren't a
to you so many
variable
times.
that you can
Show the
vary and
definition.
manipulate,
Nathan,
Bob.
you're
I
misapplying
would
the
expect
definition.
you to know that, given that you just declared what an independent variable
Are you
is.
just going to continue to ramble on, Nathan?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
point out what a complete fucktard you are. You complete and utter retard. You
All
haven't
right,
got
I'll
a
get
variable
some
that you can
coffee.
vary and
When
manipulate
you're done,
to cause the phenomena of the stars, but you can rumpus me and project onto me, can't you, Bob? You complete fucktard. So comets aren't an independent variable. I'll ask again in that case. What are the independent variables being used in the pseudoscience of astrophysicists' realm of science?
Hello, Bob.
He's already answered the question.
Not you,
And
Kosho.
You know the
Again,
answer as well.
Kosho. Yeah,
All
your
right, I'm back.
teammate is getting a pasting. That doesn't mean you need to come to his rescue. Doesn't mean you need to virtue signal. It just means you need to
no,
shut the
shut
fuck
up
up
on the answer
and
or
watch Bob the scientist get his ass handed to him by me.
That's not
Nathan?
man.
Hey, theater major.
Oh, right, now it's ad hominem time. Well done with the ad hominem. I'd like the independent variable used by astrophysicists.
What's an ad hominem about calling you a theater major? Are you not a theater major?
Sorry, what relevance does this have to the independent variable used by a pseudoscientist?
You said it was
called
an ad
astrophysicist?
hominem attack. Are you saying I'm attacking theater majors?
It's got no.
It is an ad
Or was it
hominem
a
attack
proper-
because you're attacking his person rather than the argument. By
I'm not
definition,
attacking Nathan.
that is an ad hominem.
I just addressed him by his degree. Are you not a theater major, Nathan?
Yeah, I'll say it again. It's just been illustrated twice by both me and John. This does not address the question. It attacks me, the man. Ad hominem, at the man. So your address to me being a theatre major does not address the actual issue and instead addresses me, the man. Ad hominem.
I was trying to get the man's attention. May I speak now?
So again, Bob the fallacy guy has used a fallacy. I've pointed it out and you've denied it, claiming it's not a fallacy because all you have is denial and fallacy.
May I speak?
I'll ask again because you've distracted away from the point with an ad hominem. So, what's the independent variable being used by pseudoscience astrophysicists?
I don't know what pseudoscience astrophysicists do, but
That's what they are. They're pseudoscientists. Because unless you can give me an independent variable as declared by you needed in an experiment, then they're not doing science.
How do you say that?
Because if I've just explained it, literally, what was it, 4 seconds ago? Literally, it was 4 seconds ago.
Okay, who defines that the experimenter must personally, by hand, vary something, or does the experimenter just simply need to have something that they vary?
Let me answer that. Let me answer
Okay,
that.
so
Let me answer
you're
that,
saying-
Bob. Let me answer. That would be you. You were the one who
So you're
answered that
saying-
question by declaring that you should have a variable. So yeah, that would be you that defined that, Bob. You stupid idiot. I mean, this is very amusing, Bob, but you are quite literally a fucktard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're quite amusing.
You're a
Now,
doctor?
I'm going to pin you down on this, Nathan. Are you telling me that unless the examiner personally and physically manipulates something, they can't manipulate it?
Yes, an independent variable must be capable of being varied and manipulated by the researcher. It also is your presumed cause of the effect. It also must be real. So things like R, they don't count. Things like gravity, they don't count. It must be something real and capable of being varied and manipulated by you, the researcher. Yes.
Okay, you keep rambling on. Now, my question is if I'm a researcher and Kozov's there is my assistant, and I want to mix two chemicals, do I have to physically mix those two chemicals, or can I let him do it and still have a scientific experiment?
Somebody still has to do it, right?
Okay. Now,
Right.
does a human being have to specifically manipulate something in order to make it an independent variable?
An independent variable must be capable of being varied and manipulated by the researcher.
Okay, here's your misunderstanding and your lack of cognition, Nathan. All right? Now.
It must be mine as well, because this is my point against you.
Okay, well, that's just wonderful. All right? Now, because a human being does not specifically manipulate something, doesn't mean that they can't await for nature to manipulate it for them because they can't reach
Out
it.
of here. From the Institute of Physics, an independent variable, the variable that is deliberately changed by the experimenter. From the University of North Carolina, the independent variable is the variable that is varied or manipulated by the researcher, Bob. That's the point.
Can I manipulate a location?
No, that's
No,
why
Bob.
you can't use it in a scientific method.
No, Bob, you can't. So
Can I manipulate a gene?
Don't cause anything.
Yeah, you could actually manipulate it.
Yeah, you can
You
manipulate
forgot
some
the
genes.
point
I'm
that
just gonna ask
Nathan
Bob something.
told you
Just-
what independent variables They must satisfy
You see,
three
here's your
criteria.
misunderstanding.
They
You
must-
think that a human
must be
being
real.
has to manipulate something. This is
They
your
must be
entire
real.
basis
Yeah,
for saying
otherwise
that
it falls
knowledge.
outside of the scientific method.
All
That's
right,
the
are you gonna
point.
talk and let me finish?
Can I help clear it up? They help clear it up. If
Now, are you
don't
going to let me
manipulate-
talk, or are you going to keep talking over me?
I'm not
Right,
having
victim
much to
card
say at all.
time. Oh no, hold on, everybody bow down to Bob's victim status. Oh no, hold on, Bob's being taken over. No, Bob needs to declare his victim status. Somebody help the damsel in distress that is
The
Bob.
examiner does not need to manipulate the location of an earthquake because nature manipulates it for them.
Well, that wouldn't be science then, would it, Bob? Because the independent variable needs to be varied and manipulated by the researcher if you're doing science. So while you've presented a straw man fallacy, that doesn't address the point. It doesn't change the fact that the variable needed to be varied and manipulated is the independent variable or presumed cause of an effect.
Are earthquakes earthquake looking?
Yeah, while you stutter around your straw man for the second time, yeah, that's not science.
Of course it's not science, Nathan.
No, you're not varying a variable that causes earthquakes, are you, Bob?
I don't need to because nature does it for me.
Then you're not establishing the cause of the effect. It's just nature in action, as opposed to, science!
Nathan, you have no clue what you're even talking about.
Yeah, I'm being very cohesive, very coherent, very clear, and very detailed. It's also been backed by John, who's just come in and read out specifically what an independent variable is using two different scientific citations. So, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. I didn't need the references. I had it off the top of my head. However, my assertions have now been backed by references.
You don't understand what that even says.
Really? Maybe John could read it again. We'll just see if I am in fact incorrect about what an independent variable is and whether or not it does or does not need to be varied by the researcher, as you say it does not. Let's just hear it again, John.
From the Institute of Physics, independent variable definition. The variable that is deliberately changed by the experimenter. From the University of North Carolina, the independent variable is the variable that is varied or manipulated by the researcher. An independent variable is the presumed cause, whereas the dependent variable is the presumed effect.
Earthquakes. Because if you do, you are wrong.
Earthquakes. What's earthquake?
An earthquake occurs naturally on
That's
the
an
Earth.
effect.
So does
And
the sun.
as a result of
So
that,
That's an
does
effect.
the freaking
Bob,
sun. Doesn't mean that you have
Bob.
that makes it the independent variable.
Bob, an
That's-
earthquake is an effect.
Of in seismology.
So let it sink in.
We measure-
Hold on, everyone shut up.
we
I want it
measure-
to sink in. I want it to sink in. That's an effect, Bob.
In seismology, we measure seismic waves from earthquakes.
That's fascinating. Do you have a point, Bob? Because what you're describing isn't an independent variable. It's in fact, what's the word? A dependent variable. The effect and not the cause. It seems to me that you don't know a great deal about science, considering you have science in your name.
Nathan, you can't even read the definition properly and understand it. The earthquakes occur in different locations. A human being does not necessarily need to cause those earthquakes because they are varied by nature.
That's what you're trying to do if you're performing a scientific experiment. Establish the cause of the effect. So no, you don't have to do that. You can just let nature take its course. But then you wouldn't be establishing the cause of the effect. Or, to put it another way, you wouldn't be doing science.
You're wrong.
You got a lot of hand wave dismissals, haven't you?
He's wrong. Good one. Nuh-uh. What a great argument. You pre-law
I'm saying that you're wrong. Your interpretation of the definition is wrong.
Bob, can I have a citation from you that supports why you claim Nathan's wrong?
I don't care to give you one, and I'm not going to bother looking one up. I'm stating that
wrong can be dismissed.
I'm not going to do it.
Hitchens
stating
razor.
that you're interpreting the definition incorrectly.
Bob, are you aware of
Unless you've got
Hitchens
something to
razor?
support it, it's your opinion that he's wrong, and it can be dismissed on the basis that you've provided zero evidence to support your opinion.
Go ahead and dismiss it. I don't care.
Yeah, that's called Hitchens
I
razor.
don't care.
You think
You ever heard of that, Bob?
Nathan?
I'll do what I want. I'm a scientist. I'll do what I want.
You know, look, Nathan, you know, your childish behavior doesn't really bother me. You know, I
good.
came on here primarily just to mess with you. And
And you got your ass handed to you, and we demonstrated to an audience that you know fuck all about science.
Yeah.
well, that doesn't seem to be the overall impression.
Well, really,
Oh,
you
it's
just
not.
declared that you didn't give all three constituent parts of an experiment, and you declared that you do not need to vary and manipulate the thing that causes the effect, i.e. your independent variable. So
All right,
you
that's what I want to
are...
ask you about.
So,
Independent
some
variable.
echo chamber with you in here right now, huh?
I'm
Some
hoping
echo
that you
Yeah.
guys
chamber,
can
right?
do something.
Yeah, I'm
Actually,
more
like,
I'm
what's
more
up?
interested in just messing with you guys.
Yeah, but
You
you
don't
had your
even-
ass
you
handed
can't
to
even
you,
define
so
what
you
you-
weren't
Yeah, because
successful.
you know, if you had proof of anything, you would have brought it. It would have been the first thing you would have done. You would have provided proof for
I said
something.
do
But
these
when we
attacks.
ask you if
All
you
right,
have
you
proof
seem
of
to be
gravity,
under
oh,
the
I have it, but I'm not
mistaken
going to
I
give
wanna
it to
prove
you.
something to you guys.
Oh, I have it. I'm not going to give it to you. That's how you sound. Sound
No,
like a
you
little
seem to be
baby.
under the impression that I'm trying to prove something to you guys. I can't.
So then why are
I
you
can't
here?
prove anything to you.
Why are you
Just to
here
mess
then?
with Nathan.
I think
Did you
he's
hear
here
that?
just to waste.
I
our time.
can't prove anything
Yeah, I
to
was.
you.
I was here pretty much just to waste your time and mess with Nathan.
Excellent.
You made a horse's ass
You're
out of
such,
yourself, sir.
such
I have a
an
real question for you
example of
guys instead of the insult
society.
thing. It's a real question. It has to do with
Such a
independent
cool
variables.
guy.
I'm curious if you know about something called the like the classified independent variable compared with the manipulated independent variable,
Classified.
and what the distinction between these two things would be.
Yeah, get out of here, you clown.
That was a real question because you know a lot more about these. You have all these citations and stuff on it, and so I'm just curious if
Citations?
there's
No, I don't need citations. I already knew it from 5th grade, and a background in science my entire life.
Okay, well
Really?
then can I tell you
Can I answer his
from what I
question?
understand,
Not
and what
really.
I've been trying to tell you
Joe,
for
not really.
a long time, and I have told you, was that
Oh,
you
you
don't
have told
only
us.
need to manipulate something for it to be the independent variable.
Sure,
It's
and we
enough to
just
just
pummeled
know
that
something.
position here a
It's
minute
enough to
ago,
know
so-
something and not have the ability
Sure,
to, or
clown.
not have
Right.
ability
You
for
can
outside
assume and
to understand
presuppose.
it.
That's just fine, isn't
Yeah.
it?
and then to see
Right?
what the consequences.
Spot
of
on,
it.
Arwin. Basically, what he's trying to declare is that we don't need to vary and manipulate the presumed cause and confirm that it is the cause of the effect. We can just presuppose it.
No, that's not true at all. These
Yeah,
are
no, I know it's not true. It doesn't prove anything. But that's precisely what you do, even though it's not valid, not true, and not necessary.
it is valid.
Oh, it is valid to presuppose your outcome. No, that's called logical fallacy, begging the question to be exact. So while you like doing it, and do it, and it's all you can do to prove your bullshit sphere, it's not valid, it's not science, and it doesn't prove a thing.
Yeah, so you guys would say that seismology and astronomy are not science, but that's only.
They're not. Their astrophysicists are pseudoscientists. As I just demonstrated with Bob, they don't have an independent variable to manipulate. All they have, Kosho, is step 1, observe a phenomena. They're not formulating hypothesis, and they're not varying and manipulating their presumed cause of that effect. They're just having a little look at
Nathan,
it.
he's giving you a citation here. Why don't you listen to his citation for a minute?
Citation for what?
It does clearly contradicts the way you've previously understood it. There's other types of independent variables. Some other ones are the classifying independent variables, and another one is the attribute independent variable. In which case,
Sure.
it's enough to know and understand,
Kind of missed
like in
that,
the
didn't
comment
you, Nathan?
example that he gave, you know the schedule of these comments, you know what's going to happen, and so you can vary yourself when you're going to make the observation or where you're going to make the observation.
Oh,
so
so you are the
happen.
independent variable. So you're causing the effect.
No, I don't think so,
You're
John.
just-
I think he's saying that the passage of time or his geographical location, that would be one of two different things, are his independent variable. If he's saying the passage of time will occur, and therefore the recurring occurrence will occur, therefore is established the cause of the effect.
Well,
Why are you
time
pretending not
is
to
not
understand
an
this?
independent variable, clown show. It doesn't cause
Why are you
anything.
pretending
It's the
not to understand it?
conceptual
Because you
medium
know that's
in
not
which
what that
all
means.
the events in this universe take place.
I
Time's a
couldn't understand there's
concept,
two
son.
people talking at once.
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Time's a concept. It doesn't have chemical formula, structure, charge, mass, momentum, or spin, millielectron volts, kcals, or kilojoules. Time
good
is a
point.
conceptual medium.
Good point. Time is not those other things because it's time. That's a good point.
Time. That's profound. Thank you for making my point.
But it's not an independent variable you'll be varying and manipulating to cause the effect that you observe.
No, depending on what the experiment was, let's say it had something to do with astronomy and something to do with the comet, for example, it's enough to know the schedule of it and to work around that. And that would be your independent variable.
That's not a cause and effect relationship, son.
Yeah, that would be the cause in this situation.
How do you perform an experiment
maybe
with a
you
comet?
didn't listen to what Bob said.
Depending, you have to come up with the
did you listen to what Bob said?
That was a hypothetical somebody else brought up.
Kosho, did you listen to what Bob said? He explained what's needed in an experiment. Did you not listen to him? Independent and dependent variable according to Bob the science guy. So, if you're doing astronomy, what's your independent variable?
Depends on the situation, but the comet was a good example. There's plenty of other ones. The moon cycle could be an example.
Depends on this. Sorry, depends on the situation. That sounds like it sounds like to me you don't have control of your control variables if it depends on the situation.
I'll give you an example. For Mercury, for example, they used Newton's theories of gravity and used the observations of Mars.
Excuse me. Newton never proposed a single scientific theory in his life.
Yeah,
son.
He had the law of gravitation.
The law of gravitation. He is quoted to not.
No worries. No, hold on, guys. Hold on. I just heard the words law of gravitation. So, a law is something that happens always. I'd like Kosho to show me.
It's something that's
I haven't finished my sentence, Kosho. I'd like you to show me the law of gravitation in action by showing me mass attracting mass always.
Okay, as long as you don't mind diverting the conversation to something different, that's fine.
No, you specifically said the law of gravitation. Now, I understand what a law is, but gravity, this unproven nonsense, that bit I'm a bit confused on. So, given that I don't ever observe gravity, I want you to show me this law of mass attracting mass always. Can you show that?
Yeah,
it's a law, right?
Two things. One is that you've already seen all the things that I would possibly show you. So the second thing is
Sorry, that's not showing me anything. You've not shown me a thing. I'm asking right here, right now, for you to show me. Don't tell me you've already shown me. Just show me.
No, you've already seen it and I've already shown you.
Sorry, that's not an answer. When I ask you to show me something, saying I've already shown me, ask me if I can prove unicorns, and me declaring I've already shown you unicorns are real isn't an explanation. It isn't showing an example of mass attracting mass always. So, no, I'm not just going to say I've shown you unicorns. I would expect them to be produced when asked.
But then I'm gonna apologize to everyone for boring them because we're doing the same thing over and over again.
Well, if it's garbage, you don't need to apologise. We'll just rip that garbage to shreds, depending on how much garbage it is. If it's already been ripped to shreds, and that's why you don't want to present it, then fine. Just declare, you've already ripped this garbage to shreds already.
Yeah, so here's me trying to do the thing you asked me to do, and you were talking about trash. So, yeah, you can do the Cavendish experiment, which when he did
that's not an experiment. That's not an experiment, Kosho. Yeah, the observed phenomena is conjured within the apparatus itself, so that's definitely not an experiment, because the phenomena that I'm asking you to describe, of mass attracting mass always, you're conjuring that in this experiment, which is not an experiment. So I'm asking for mass attracting mass always, and you're directing me to an apparatus being built by man. So this doesn't happen always if I have to build apparatus. Did you not? Do you not? Hold on, Kosho. Do you understand what the word?
Always, Nate.
Do you understand what that word means? Always.
And it doesn't work always, Nathan. It's been super.
Oh, so it's not a law then? So it's not a law then? If it's not happening always, then it's not a natural law.
Yeah, laws are there's a bunch of laws that stand up until they're proven wrong, and then they use the new law. Which,
no, they don't get proven wrong. They happen always. But you're saying this doesn't happen always, which means it's not a law. It's as simple as that, Kosho. Now, you don't have to like this, but if you're going to declare something happens always, I expect it to happen always.
That's not what a law is defined by. This is what happens always. It's defined as this is what happens. This is what happens until proven wrong.
Okay, so show me mass attracting mass. Show me that happening. Does this ever occur in the physical and natural world? Because so far you have directed me to an experiment that's not an experiment.
Well, you can make the experiment yourself by using what Cavendish used and changing the parameters so that you were
in real life. Kosho, in real life, where do I find gravity in real life, Kosho?
Chocolate sand. Buy these equipment and do the Cavendish experiment and do it.
Why do I have? See, this is the problem, Kosho. Why do I have to buy equipment for this to happen?
Because you said
it's
do it
a
in
law.
real life.
You're saying it's
this
a
is
law,
real
right?
life.
So I should just walk around everywhere and just see gravity happening.
You absolutely do.
No, you don't. You've just declared we've got to go and get equipment in order to see it ever happening ever. So not only does it not happen ever, we have to conjure it in an experiment. And now you're talking over me. So it's not that it happens all the time and is easy to happen whatever the circumstances. You're saying it only happens under these specific circumstances.
It happens all the time. I give you one example, and I'm giving you a general example.
Then why are you telling us to go buy a Cavendish experiment?
Yes.
You want to do an experiment?
Natural laws, Kosho, natural. It's got to occur naturally in the natural world. Why are we going to Home Depot?
Don't go to Home Depot. Listen, and I'll answer Sam's question, please, for the love of fucking God.
Oh, he's getting really triggered and started to swear. That's okay. Bless his little cotton socks.
You know what's really funny too, Nathan? He's calling it a natural law, but then he's trying to provide an experiment for a natural law. There has never been a natural law confirmed by experiment in the history of the world. Why? Because you can never find the cause of natural laws. You clown. What is the cause? Let's just use the second law of thermodynamics. What is the cause of entropy?
He said that was wrong. So I'm going to answer it his way.
What's the cause of entropy?
I'm answering Sam's question. I started answering that question, and he jumped on me and saying, I don't want to do an experiment. I don't want to buy anything. I just want to observe it. Okay.
You called it a natural law.
Things are compelled
natural laws are not validated by experiment, son. They don't go through the scientific method. There is no cause and effect relationship with natural laws. This is fifth grade general science, sir. And I just provided an example. A cause and effect relationship, right? That's the scientific method. So show us the cause of entropy, the second law of thermodynamics. Let's see the experiment. I want you to show me what causes entropy. Go.
Dude, this is the dumbest conversation in the fucking history. I'm asking.
You're in it.
And I get asked a totally separate question.
It's not. It's the same question. You're a joke,
everyone knows it, dude. Everyone but these people. And I implore all of you.
Let's sure they do. So basically, what he's doing is declaring that we're all idiots. After declaring that he's got scientific experimentation to back something that he's claiming is a natural law. You're pointing out that no law ever has gone through the scientific method to provide validity to that law, and he's saying we're all idiots because you're pointing it out to him.
I never fucking said that.
Stop swearing.
Why don't you go ahead and tell how the Cavendish experiment's not an experiment?
They're not claiming that they happen forever.
You want to ruffle your hair? You want to ruffle your little hair? You little triggered, son. You little triggered? Shall I ruffle your little hair?
You guys are fucktards, man. It's like pissing me off.
Do you want me to ruffle your hair?
I think
Bless you.
That's what we are. Right?
He doesn't like his religious assertions being taken to
genocide. My God.
All I heard was because you guys are fucking talking.
Why don't you sit down and have one person on the panel explain to me why the Cavendish experiment's not following scientific method?
Oh, because the observed phenomena isn't observed in the physical and natural world to become a dependent variable. It's actually conjured within the apparatus. I did actually explain that probably about 5 minutes ago.
It's conjured in the apparatus.
That's correct. That's why when we've just asked Kosho to take us to mass attracting mass in the natural world, he couldn't. Because it doesn't occur in the natural world. It seems to only
Gravity doesn't occur in the natural world?
No.
You're a fucking idiot, dude.
Did the Cavendish
Kosho, that's your last chance. You're clearly very
world?
triggered, son. Let's get rid of Kosho, because he's obviously very triggered. Just keep swearing, because he's had his argument handed to him on his... Bye-bye.
Bob, apparently it doesn't happen in the natural world, because we're told to go buy one. We're told to go buy one. I asked Kosho, where do I see gravity in real life? He told me to go get a Cavendish experiment.
It's all around you.
Oh, it's all around me. So why can't I see it all around me? Where is it around me?
I have no idea. I'm saying probably educational or cognitive disorder.
Oh, cognitive disorder allows me to not see gravity?
Assume it because the book said so. The scripture said so. You just have to assume it.
No, I mean, drop an object. Is there not a 9.8 meters per second squared downward acceleration all over
That-
the
Yeah, that's really nice.
Let me go
I know.
drop the
I've
helium
heard
balloon
about
real
that.
quick.
It's a nice
Hold
deduction.
on, guys.
How things fall, the fall acceleration. Guess
Hey,
what?
Nathan,
That
get 'em.
deduction, that actual measure deduction, there's no real proof as to what actually causes that. It's only widely speculated about. It's one of the aberrations of gravity, one of the
It's-
elements
no,
that
it's not
heavily
gravity.
suggest
It's
gravity
just
to be
you're
a
just
unified
observing an
force
effect.
of
Bob,
equilibrium.
Bob,
That
Bob,
cannot
one-
actually be
one-
proven
everyone's
because
talking at
in the
once.
proof of gravity, G, right, the gravity is not actually the independent variable.
What is the independent variable in the Cavendish experiment?
Mass.
But gravity.
No, mass is not the independent variable.
Oh, you tell me then.
Mass is
So how does it prove it then?
Hold on, Owen.
all
Go
right.
on then. You
No,
tell me
you
what
tell
the
me what
independent-
the independent. I'm asking. I asked the question now.
Ooh.
No,
So you don't
it's
get
your
to turn it back on
experiment.
me. What's the independent variable in the Cavendish experiment? What?
There
That's
is
called
none.
the burden of proof reversal fallacy. Second time
Right.
he's used it on this show. So this is your claim, not ours. So you can tell us about your claim if you choose to. Me, I'm not going to validate your claim, Bob.
Okay, so you don't know.
Yeah, I just said mass. You said wrong.
You're wrong.
So
What's
what
the
is it then,
independent
Bob?
variable that is manipulated in the Cavendish experiment?
Hold on a second. You skipped a step. Step one. What is your observed natural phenomenon? We need the dependent variable
I asked
first.
a very specific question. We're not answering another question. We're going to answer this
We
one.
want the
What
first
is the
step.
independent
Observe
variable
a
in the
natural
Cavendish
phenomenon.
experiment?
That's the step of the scientific method. Step one. Give us the dependent variable.
I'm not going through the
observe
entire
natural
experiment. I
phenomenon.
asked a very specific question from the
you're gonna
experiment.
answer
What
it.
is the independent?
You're going to
Okay, so
answer
you
it,
don't know
clown
then, do you?
show. The first step of the scientific method. What is it?
I'm not answering the question. I asked
Well,
a
you
very
can leave
specific question
then,
about
and
a step
Go on to your
in the
jungle gym.
Cavendish experiment.
Right?
What is the
to your
independent variable in
playground,
the
Bob.
Cavendish experiment?
I'll tell you, it's not gravity.
I'll tell you what.
No, it isn't.
Stop obfuscating.
No, that's right. So
What
how's it
is the
supposed
first
to be
step?
proving gravity then? How is
Hey,
it the proof
hey,
for
Arwen,
gravity?
Okay,
if
so
gravity is
all
not
right,
the
now here's where
independent
we are right
variable.
now.
Your
This is
reasoning
this-
makes
they are-
no damn
this
Here's
is
where we
sense.
are right now. We're trying to find the independent variable in the Cavendish experiment. It's not mass,
Oh,
and
really?
it's not gravity. So what's the independent variable in the Cavendish experiment, genius?
Now I'm kind of curious.
Your sister.
What is it? Answer the question. Come on, you geniuses. You know everything about the scientific method. Tell me what the independent variable in the Cavendish experiment.
Sorry, didn't I just go through this a few moments ago? I explained that this is called the burden of proof reversal fallacy, trying to get us to validate your claim.
I'm not trying to get you to validate any claim. I'm asking you a specific step in the Cavendish experiment, which you have pronounced to be not science. Yet when I ask you a very specific question on it, none of you geniuses can answer it, can you?
Shut the
I did
fuck up
answer
for a
it.
moment.
Hold on,
I'm
hold
gonna
on.
look it
I
up.
did. Oh, Owen.
to
I did answer.
hand
Oh,
your
Owen,
ass
Owen.
Why don't you know it off the top of your head if you
Oh,
know
God.
the Cavendish
Well,
experiment?
because you're
Owen,
not freaking
Owen,
Google
Owen.
database, you ass.
I
That's
did
why.
answer. You said I was incorrect.
Yes, you are incorrect, Nathan.
Okay, so what
Because
do
I actually
you
know
claim?
the Cavendish experiment. You
Oh, really?
don't.
So tell us then, what is the independent variable in the Cavendish experiment?
Yeah, what's the cause of mass
It's
attracting
the
mass?
distance between the masses.
Oh, so the
It's
cause.
distance.
Hold
The
on.
independent variable
Owen,
is
Owen,
distance.
Owen. So the cause is the concept
No,
of
the independent variable is
that would be the cause. Yeah. So the cause is distance.
no. I said the independent variable. That
Yeah, that would be your presumed cause.
distance between the masses.
That's the cause. Hello? That's your presumed cause. So you think the presumed cause of mass attracting mass is distance. Wow, you are a complete fucking idiot.
Not even mass attracting mass, just of the.
Owen, can you shut up for a second? Bob, you think distance, the independent variable, presumed cause, causes mass attracting mass. That's what you think.
No, it's part of the equation. It's the part that was
Equation? Sorry, not equation, Bob. We're formulating hypothesis. Why have you suddenly inserted this word equation?
Because that was a test of the gravitation.
Sorry, Bob, we're doing science here, not mathematics. Didn't you understand that? I thought you had the name Science Guy. So you seem to have you seem to have inserted
Nathan,
mathematics.
you don't even know what you can't even tell me what the Cavendish experiment was.
Sorry, we've just established from you that you think the cause of mass attracting mass is distance.
No, it's gravity.
Sorry, you've just told us that the independent variable, presumed cause of the effect, is distance. That's what you've just told us after a big song and dance about me not knowing it. So you laboured the point, then you got to the point.
You don't understand it.
I understand that you said distance. That's your presumed cause, Bob.
Distance is the independent variable, and the dependent variable, the thing that the observer measures, is the twist on the torsion balance.
Yeah. So if distance, then torsion bar twist. That's your hypothesis, Bob.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Yeah. So if distance, so let me get this right. I've got a bit of distance between me and the brick wall that I've got next to me, Bob. It doesn't seem to be causing torsion bar twist, though.
You have a torsion bar set up.
No, Bob, you don't seem to understand.
Okay, so you don't have a torsion bar
you don't seem to understand
up.
Science very well. We're trying to understand what the presumed cause is of something. Now, you're stating that the presumed cause of mass attracting mass, or the effect of torsion bar twist, is distance. So if distance, then torsion bar twist. So if distance, I've got some distance right now between me and a brick wall, but it's not causing torsion bar twist, Bob.
You don't have a torsion bar.
So if distance, we don't have torsion bar twist then. That's interesting. Okay.
So what's your point, Nathan?
Yeah, that you don't have
an
independent variable or a viable dependent variable. In other words, you don't have science.
Let me ask you this,
Not only
Nathan,
that, Bob, before you rumpus the living daylights after me asking me to make the point of your demolition, you're going to talk all over me, right? Now, shut you up. No problem.
The distance between you and
you are going to
wall
just talk all over me, so the hangout can't hear a word I say. Yeah, no worries. Let's shut Bob up. Yeah. So what we've established here today, boys and girls, is that Bob the science guy hasn't got the vaguest fucking clue what science is. He doesn't know what an independent variable and a dependent variable is. He thinks an independent variable is not your presumed cause. He thinks that gravity is caused by distance. I mean, the guy's a fucking idiot. That's what we've learned here today.
And what we've learned from you, Nathan, is
that you're a fucking idiot. Yes, that's precisely what we've learned from me. That you are a fucking idiot. You've declared yourself a science guy, even though you don't even know what the constituent parts of an experiment are. Even though you've declared quite boldly that an independent variable is not your presumed cause. That makes you a fucking retard.
What does the distance between you and a brick wall have to do with the Cavendish experiment, Nathan?
I don't know. You've claimed it's the presumed cause of the effect of mass attracting mass. So if that's my cause, if distance, I would expect that if I had distance, it would cause torsion bar twist. Yet, in the circumstances I'm in right now, there's distance, a concept, all around me. And yet it's not causing the effect of mass attracting mass. It just means that your scientifically validated hypothesis is actually complete bollocks.
I don't think you even understand what the Cavendish experiment is.
We don't understand. It's the last resort. We don't understand. It's a misunderstanding. Everything's wrong, so it's just a misunderstanding. It's so
very clear. If distance, then mass attracts mass. Or, as you put it, if distance, then torsion bar twist.
I didn't put it that way at all.
No, but that is actually what you're claiming.
Yeah, that's a hypothesis.
I said that the distance between the masses is the...
Oh, the distance between the masses. Ah, now you seem to be introducing something else. Is this not an independent variable, Bob?
How is it not an independent variable?
Well, you seem to be telling me there's two different things at play here. Mass and distance.
No.
No?
Distance. What you are varying is distance. What you are measuring is the attraction between the two masses.
So if I vary distance,
Hypothesis.
I will see the effect
Your
of mass
independent
attracting
variable
mass.
is actually
Sorry,
the cause.
Arwin. Why am I fighting with you over this? I don't get it.
Sorry.
So if distance, that's your presumed cause of an effect. So if you have that presumed cause, you will have the effect as a result of having the cause. In this case, distance. The problem being distance doesn't cause anything, Bob.
You vary the distance, and then you measure the attraction between the two balls. How is that not clear to you, Nathan?
Yeah, it is clear to me. It's bollocks.
Okay, then why are you blatantly misunderstanding it?
I'm not
We're
misunderstanding.
Not misunderstanding. You're the
Oh,
one
here
that's
we go.
actually
It's me fighting with
misunderstanding.
Arwin again, mid-conversation.
Sorry.
Just take over, Arwin. It's all right. I'm just totally
No.
sick of it, to be honest.
Just I'm getting kind of my might is melting from the constant donkey rattling here of this guy that just refuses to get what he's doing. It's just blind. Sorry.
You guys can't even tell me what the Cavendish experiment did.
Yeah, we just did it.
You know, look.
We just
Yeah,
did
Nathan,
it.
Nathan, I
Then
heard
how
you.
do you
Go
not
ahead. What's up?
understand what I said?
We understand what you said. You're the one that's
how
not
do you
actually
disagree with
understanding
what I
what you're
said?
saying. Because
I'll
you're
try.
a
Then how do you
try.
disagree with what I
You're
said?
a retard. You don't understand the scientific method, and you claim that
How
the independent
do you
variable is
disagree
distance.
with what
Well,
I
it's
said?
not supposed to be distance. It's supposed to be gravity. That's
How
what actually
do
makes
you
it a valid hypothesis, but
misunderstand
it's
what
not.
I very clearly said?
It's not a
We
valid
haven't misunderstood you.
hypothesis.
You just keep saying, how have you
We're not talking
misunderstood
about
what
the
I have clearly
hypothesis.
said, even though we haven't
How
misunderstood.
do you
It just doesn't make any sense.
misunderstand
Now you're going to repeat it again over the top of
what
what
I
I'm
said?
pointing out. So I'm pointing out that you're parroting the same question, and we're not misunderstanding you. We do understand.
Then
You've given
how
us and
am
now
I
you're talking
mis- how
again.
am I
Now,
misstating
you're
it?
just asking the same question. This is your only line of defense. So,
How
yeah,
am
you're going
I
to do it again.
misstating it?
So it is your only line of defense.
Yeah, this
How
is
am I
preposterous,
misstating it?
man. Are we winding up? The show should be winding up. I mean, it's painfully obvious that this guy's
Yeah,
a
I've had
pretender
about
clown
enough of.
the
I've had
first
about
Yeah,
kind.
enough of it.
and we had
So-
about enough of you, man.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You're a fraud. You're not a scientist. You're a spin doctor.
That's fine.
Yeah, you've been trained at psychological deviance and pseudoscience. Should be
That's fine.
ashamed
Yeah,
of
everything's
yourself. You should be
pseudoscience.
ashamed of yourself. You're a fraud.
Yeah, everything's pseudoscientist.
No, not everything. What you do is pseudoscience. You're
Ah,
a fraud.
What is real science then?
That would be hypothesis tests, otherwise known as experiments. They would be based on natural phenomena that you observe in the physical and natural world, and a presumed cause that you will vary and manipulate to cause the effect of the phenomena that you observed. That would be called an experiment. It would also be backed by rigorous, systematic experimentation or repetition of that experiment. The experiment that validated or invalidated your presumed cause of the observed phenomena you witnessed in the physical and natural world. That is science.
How did Cavendish not follow that, Nathan?
He was a fraud. That's how.
I'll tell you.
Okay, so
can I answer
just
that?
call
Bob?
him
Can
names.
I'll answer.
Well,
I'll answer.
that's
Are you
your
going to answer
best
for me?
answer is
Are you going to
calling
answer
people
for me?
names and
You've asked me a
calling them
question.
pseudoscientists.
Are you going to answer for me? So, why does that not follow that method? Step 1 would be to observe a natural phenomena. Like with Kosho, we asked where do we observe the natural phenomena of mass attracting mass? And we were directed to this experiment, in quotes. Not to
Orbit
the
of the
natural...
moon.
I haven't
There you go.
finished. I haven't finished, Bob. You asked why this doesn't follow the method. I'm telling you. Why I would have to
Great.
tell somebody with science in the name why Cavendish, a pseudoscience circus sideshow, doesn't follow this method is beyond me. But that's what I'm attempting to do as you continually talk over me. So, Bob, it has no natural phenomena that has been observed. It is, as described previously, conjured within the apparatus. That is why it does not adhere to the scientific method.
Okay, so you're saying that mass attracting mass is not observed in nature. That's what you're staking your entire reputation on, Nathan, right?
Please show me mass attracting mass in nature.
Earth and the moon.
Sorry,
Moon's a Jupiter.
that's your fundamentalist belief about what Earth is and what the moon is. So
No,
you
it
are
has
now...
nothing to do with my fundamentalist belief. I have plenty of evidence for it.
The moon is a light in the sky.
The moon orbits the Earth. The Earth
Orbits? So orbits, you say? So you are presupposing that Earth is a sphere, with the moon, also a sphere, orbiting on a circular path around said presupposed sphere. So we're back to Bob on his
Yeah,
usual...
Nathan, you can take your presupposed sphere. If I've had about enough fun with you, I've got...
No, you're not having fun with me. I am handing you your own ass. Somebody who claims to be a scientist is being ripped to shreds by me. You think you're here to fuck with us, but in fact you're embarrassing yourself and demonstrating to an audience that you don't know what science is. Oh, did you drop? Bye-bye, Bob. Bye-bye.
Oh, goodbye, Bob. Come back soon.
Sorry. My God, I was...
Anybody want any final words before I round out this after show?
Rest in peace, Bob.
Bob is a dick.
No, it was just like I said previously, it was for 3 hours. I mean, I couldn't believe it. He actually came on here to display, I think it's clinical level Dunning-Kruger, because this never-ending train wreck, I just can't believe it. He makes the $6 million man crash and burn look like a fender bender. I mean, seriously. I'm embarrassed for him. That's all I got.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel, including Bob, for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the audience in the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel for tuning in and hopefully sharing this premiering after show. If you want to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth debate forum. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!